Columbus, Ohio. It's the Mount Union Purple Raiders against the Capital Crusaders, and it is a beautiful day for college football. Hi, everybody. This is Joe Tait with Harry Paidas. We're set to bring you the story of another OAC football game that finds two ball clubs, Harry, really hungry for a win.
They certainly are, Joe. When you look at what's been happening up to now, you've got two teams coming off of losses, and we've got the Ohio Conference defending champions in Capital University, and Mount Union, which was a two-time defender until last year when Capital knocked them off. So this is a pretty good rivalry. These two teams should go at each other, but they're really fighting for their very lives as far as the conference is concerned at this point.
Harry, anything specific that you're looking for in this game this afternoon? You're familiar with both teams.
Well, that's true. Having worked at Capital at one time and now working at Mount Union, I suppose that's true. As far as Mount Union's concerned, Keith Rabarczyk needs to bounce back from really a subpar effort, and that's the first time he's had a subpar effort in his career here, and it's just a matter of him trying to bounce back from that. And if he can get the offense rolling, he's got Ed Hoja back, who had been injured. One of the problems at Heidelberg was getting that offense rolling, and made a lot of mistakes. So if Keith can get the offense rolling and the defense can come together, the defense has given up a surprisingly large number of points, then they're going to be back on the track, and they've got Baldwin Wallace the following week, which, of course, is a game that they don't really need to get up for. On the other hand, Capital has deceiving quickness on their offense, and the key to that particular squad is the defense. They last week lost 14-0 to arch rival Otterbein, but normally they can shut you down pretty quickly.
We'll be back to meet the coaches right after we take this timeout.
I think I chose Mount Union because it's a small private college, and I like the family-type atmosphere that Mount Union promotes. It's easy to get involved, and the professors, when I met them, or the ones that I didn't meet, they seem to genuinely care, and I think that's the kind of attention that I need.
Our tradition of personalized higher education thrives in an environment of varied experiences, with more opportunities for learning, enrichment, and enjoyment than you can imagine.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank. We're chatting now with Coach Roger Welsh of Capital, and Coach, this may be one of those chicken and egg questions. Is it tougher to get to the conference championship, or is it tougher to hang on once you're there?
Well, it was tough for us, in particularly last year. We had 7 games that were decided by 4 or less points, so we were very fortunate in that championship drive. I think it's much more difficult, at least at our level of college football, to repeat. I think there's pressures on, the pressure that we put on ourselves as coaches. There's pressure that maybe suddenly is put on the players, and we've had a tough time so far. We got a good start, but the pressure's there every game.
How about your ball club today, physically, mentally?
Well, mentally, I expect us to be high and sharp and intense. We had just a terrible mental game last week against our arch rival Otterbein, and our offense didn't perform very well and made a lot of assignment mistakes. And we hope that we'll be able to turn this around in terms of taking a better mental approach to this game. And physically, we're all set. We have all of our starters capable of playing well, and our quarterback, John Keel, has had a little injury against Marietta, which hurt him for a couple days in preparation for Otterbein. But emotionally, I expect us to be high today.
What do you expect from Mount Union?
Well, Mount's been a puzzling team to this point. To me, they've got an outstanding and explosive offense that has been somewhat slowed down by some outstanding defensive play of their opponents. I expect Keith Rabarczyk to improve and have the kind of game that he's capable of playing, and that's what concerns us. We've got a great defensive team, but they've got great scheme and great players offensively, and so we're concerned that how much better is Keith going to get today, and whether or not we can contain their offense under his leadership.
Coach, thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you, Joe.
Roger Welsh, the coach of Capital, will meet Larry Karras of Mount Union after this timeout.
Since 1846, Mount Union College has provided higher education on its northeastern Ohio campus. Through sound planning, the support of alumni and other friends, and careful management, the college has maintained a modern physical plant, strong library and media resources, and an array of technical and scientific equipment. And all of this in a debt-free environment with strong endowment support and a budget in balance for more than 3 decades.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank. Now we're chatting with Coach Larry Karras of Mount Union. Roger Welch just moments ago, Coach, said he really didn't know what to expect from the Mount Union Purple Raiders today. What do you expect from the Raiders today?
Well, I'm not sure either, Joe. We've played 2 poor games. That's about the only way you could describe it, after playing a very good game in our opener. And I'm not surprised at our inconsistency, given that we're playing a lot of young kids. But I hope we show up here today ready to play.
How about your team physically and mentally?
Well, I think it's tough to lose 2 games in a row. And I worry more about that part of the game than the physical side. You know, all football teams are going to have injuries. We've had injuries to 2 outstanding players, one of our better offensive players and probably our best defensive player. But I don't think that rattles the team as much as just not performing well does mentally.
What about the Capital Crusaders from your perspective?
I think Capital is the premier defensive team in the OAC, and they were for the last 2/3 of last year, and the stats indicate that they are again this year. They have 8 seniors, and I have a lot of respect for the way they play defense. Offensively, they use a lot of motion, try to give you some alignment problems, and probably their leader is their quarterback, Keel, who is a good scrambler, good rollout QB, puts a lot of pressure on you because he might run or he might pass. So, but they're coming off a loss, too, and they need a big game today also.
Coach, thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Joe.
Coach Larry Karras of the Mount Union Purple Raiders will have football at Mount Union right after this timeout.
Social and cultural life are vital parts of your undergraduate experience. International students representing 20 different countries around the world add to the cultural enrichment of your Mount Union experience. In addition, the college provides opportunities to its students for study in a foreign country for a semester of their college education. The International Study Option Scholarship currently has Mount Union students studying in Spain, England, France, Germany, and Japan.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank.
Welcome back to Mount Union Stadium, where the Capital Crusaders and Mount Union College Purple Raiders about to do battle. As we mentioned, Mount Union coming into this game 1-2, the Crusaders 2-1, and Mount Union hasn't been 1-2 for quite some time. As we had mentioned, they are the defending OAC champs in 85-86. Capital took away the title from them in 87, and so now we have the 2 combatants, the purple and whites, both teams being purple and white, about to do battle. Capital University did win the toss. However, they elected to defer, and as a result, they will be kicking off to the Purple Raiders. It's Capital that is wearing the white jerseys with the purple numbers. The home Mount Union Purple Raiders wearing the purple jerseys with the white numbers. Kind of sounds like a boxing match, having to describe the trunks and so forth. But it will be the Crusaders kicking off, and we're pleased once again to have, as our play-by-play person, the voice of the Purple Raiders, Joe Tait. Joe?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. The clouds are coming over the stadium, but at the present time, it looks like we've got a delightful afternoon for this OAC football game. The opening kick in the air, and Roger Ripley drives it down to Garn at the 11-yard line. 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. 45 in midfield as the Mount Union Purple Raiders open with a bang.
Chris Lutman had to come over from behind to catch Garn. A fine return and a good way to start out for the Purple Raiders with the ball in Capital territory.
First out, 10 yards to go for Mount Union at the Capital 49-yard line. Last year, these 2 teams played a wild one down in Columbus, and Capital won it 26-25. That's Johnson out wide to the right. Now he goes in motion. Grabarczyk at quarterback. Turns. First handoff of the day is to Brian Frost, and he pounds his way down in the neighborhood of the 45-yard line. Second down and about 6 yards to go.
There you see the offensive line of the Purple Raiders. Coffey, Long, Dawson, Ricks, O'Donnell, and Carnes. Ricks being an all-academic All-American. And Hoja, Rabarsic, Paul Frost, and San Clemente.
It's Ed Hoja out very wide to the left. In motion is Sharp. And not much doing up the middle. Paul carries for a couple of yards. And that'll put it 3rd and 3 for the Purple Raiders at the 43-yard line.
Capital coming into this game with a highly touted defense, and there you see it. Smith, Toy, Kaufeld, Rote, Justice, and Francis. And the linebackers and defensive backfield of the Crusaders.
That Mark Welsh is the coach's son, Roger Welsh's son. In motion. And Clemente. Hoja again very wide as Rabarsi keeps the ball and goes down to the 40-yard line, testing the right side of the Capital line, and he came up short. So it will be 4th down and a yard to go. And the Mount Union Purple Raiders, stymied at the Capital 40, will punt the ball. Rob Desjarnais is dropping back. Also going back for the Capital Crusaders to receive this punt is Jared Van Gilder. He's up at the 20, and Desjarnais is back at the 10. The kick by Sharp bounces at the 6 and stops at the 5, down by the Raiders. So the Purple Raiders have had all the better of the field position thus far, getting the fine run back of the opening kick by Russ Garn, and now pinning Capital back at their own 5-yard line.
Well, Purple Raiders enjoying early field position here. Couldn't get the first down that they needed to get a drive going offensively, but now the defense comes onto the field to work against the Crusaders. It's been a defense that has given up a lot of points in the last couple games, and they'll be tested here by the Crusaders.
John Keel, number 5, is the Capital quarterback, 21 of 49 in passing. And the handoff right up the middle goes to Doug Jones. Jones pounded down at about the 8-yard line, driving right into the middle of the Purple Raider defense. That has been one of the major question marks thus far for the Purple Raiders after an outstanding performance against Allegheny. They have given up 41 points in the last 2 ball games.
There you see the offensive line of the Crusaders.
John Keel calls out the signals. And he hands off for another short gain. Mike Birchie managing to pound ahead to about the 12-yard line, following one of those big horses, Rob Graham from Westerville, Ohio. So the ball is at the 11, and it is 3rd down and about 6.
Beach, McCollum, Beard, Loudon, Lasecki, and Dine, and linebackers and defensive backfield.
Birchie fumbled the ball, and the Mount Union Purple Raiders come up with it at the 10-yard line.
Recovery by Mount Union. Ted Hanlon on the recovery for the Purple Raiders.
Ted Hanlon was on the bottom of the pile, came up with the football. As you watch again, it's just a mishandled handoff, and Hanlon is right in the right place at the right time to give the Purple Raiders the turnover, and great field position.
The give from Keel to Birchie was not nearly as good as the give from Birchie to Hanlon. First down, goal to go at the 10-yard line for the Purple Raiders. Rabarsic watches Johnson in motion, turns in his backfield, and Paul drives ahead for a couple of yards. Coming into today, he was averaging a bit better than 4 yards a carry with 4 rushing touchdowns.
Larry Karras, the head coach of the Mount Union Purple Raiders, has to enjoy what just occurred. Now he would like to drive the ball into the end zone.
Hoja goes out wide to the right. San Clemente to the left. Paul and Frost to the setbacks. That was San Clemente in motion as Rabarsic has an easy touchdown to San Clemente. Wide open in the end zone. An interesting statistic, San Clemente in his Mount Union career has caught 16 passes, 6 of them now for touchdowns.
He likes to make them count. And Rabarczyk with a good fake here, drawing some of the crowd to the ball carrier or potential ball carrier. Then he lofts the perfect pass to San Clemente, who was wide open in the end zone.
Ken Edelman hits the crossbar on the left. That ball is picked up and down the sideline for Capital. Those number 33, Johnny Justice. It is 6-0 with 10:42 to play in the first period. In all of college football this year, Harry, we have yet to have an extra point returned for 2 points, which is a new college rule this year.
That's right. New rule instituted this year does allow for the defensive team to score 2 points if they can return it all the way. One more time, as you see Rabarczyk faking the ball to Paul. Nice block there by Frost, and San Clemente finds the 6. But unfortunately, it stayed at 6.
The Purple Raiders are on top with 10:42 to play in the first period. And Edelman, who just drilled the left upright on the extra point try, will be kicking off the 35-yard line. The officials today, Steve Perjanik is the referee, Randy Morgan is the umpire, Ed Markowski, the head linesman, Roy Johnson is the line judge, and the back judge, Louis Serretta. That was a 2-play, 10-yard drive covering 32 seconds. A squib kick picked up by Desjarnais, and he manages to get to the 34-yard line before he is lowered at the 34, and picking himself off the bottom of that pile for Mount Union, number 26, is Jeff Bartlett from Canton.
Now Capital with its first possession where they've had some room to get the offense going. We'll see what they do. Have good quickness.
John Keel, the quarterback, turns in his backfield, gives to Dunkel, and nothing doing as he was buried shy of the line of scrimmage by big number 89, Tim Hawk from Atwater.
One thing that had to concern Roger Welsh about last week's game was the fact that Otterbein College shut out the Crusaders, a team that had been scoring prior to that game. Fine defensive thrust there by the Raiders.
Todd DeLessio is out very wide to the left for Capital. Desjarnais toward the sideline on the near side. Birchie in motion. Keel fumbles the ball, and they pile up at the 38, and the Purple Raiders have come up with another loose ball.
And again, it appeared this time to be Tim Hawk from Mount Union coming up with it. Now let's watch again. It's another mishandle. This time it's a mishandled pitch as opposed to a handoff. And Hawk was there, but it appears as though Bill Davis.
Bill Beebe, the defensive tackle out of South
Okay, Bill Beebe.
the
That's
man
right.
at the bottom of that pile. Well, field position is everything, and the Purple Raiders have had all the better of it. Johnson in motion. Rabarczyk. The handoff for very little, if anything, goes to Dean Paul, the running back from Garrettsville.
Loss on the play of 1.
He lost a yard, putting the ball back just shy of the 40-yard line. Second down and 11 yards to go.
Well, the Purple Raiders have put the ball up once and converted a touchdown. They've moved the ball on the ground, but haven't been able to pick up that first down via the running route.
Rabarczyk turns in his backfield, fakes to Paul, throws to Hoja on the sideline, and inside the 30-yard line down to the 27-yard line. That is good for the first down, and the Purple Raiders are moving again. Here's another look at it, Harry.
The fake again to Paul. Hoja standing wide open and picks up the first down himself.
Interestingly enough, Harry, Capital won the flip, but deferred their decision to the second half, allowing Mount Union to start on offense, and Mount Union has had all the offense in the first quarter. This handoff sends Brian Frost down to the 25-yard line. Second down, 8 yards to go. Frost averaging better than 4 yards a carry in his first 3 games.
Shot of Roger Wells.
So the ball was the 25-yard line for the Mount Union Purple Raiders. Johnson wide right. Now comes in motion to the left. Rabarczyk fakes to Paul, throws to Frost, and he's spun out of bounds inside the 20-yard line.
So Rabarczyk is looking crisp here this afternoon. Had some troubles against Heidelberg, but those troubles now behind him. Again, he rolls right. Frost from out of the backfield goes down and out.
Hoja coming out wide to the right. Johnson will be in the slot to the right, and San Clemente, who caught a touchdown pass earlier in this period, wide to the left. That's Johnson in motion. And the handoff sends Paul down to the 15-yard line. Down at the bottom of that pile for the Capital Crusaders, number 75, Bob Toy, 6'2", 240.
Dean Paul picking the hole.
They'll bring the chains in for a measurement here at the 17-yard line.
It appeared as though he made it initially. Then when they spotted it, there was some question, but there is the first down.
First and 10 for the Purple Raiders inside the Capital 20-yard line. Mount Union coming off a disappointing 24-14 loss last week at Heidelberg. And the Capital Crusaders were shocked last week by their crosstown rivals Otterbein, 14-0. Johnson to the left. Hoja out wide to the right. Now a timeout is called by the Mount Union Purple Raiders with 7:46 to play here in the first period, and we'll be back with Mount Union leading 6-0 right after this timeout.
When the going gets tough, this team gets going.
Mrs. Peel, we're needed.
They're the Avengers, paired for poise under fire.
There's no need to get steamed up.
They're gracious in the face of danger.
Go down.
Perfect partners. With all the right moves for capping the crooks.
Intriguing, isn't it?
Yes.
Be sure to catch all their combined action on The Avengers.
Saturday night at 1 and Sunday at 6 here on WBNX. Lindsay Wagner has that little edge on her enemies. No mysteries too great for this secret agent.
The butler did it?
Well, I'm pretty good with bionic parts.
Oh, you are.
Program your system for the Bionic Woman, Sunday mornings at 8 on WBNX.
Okay, I'll do it.
Back at Mount Union Stadium, where the Purple Raiders enjoy a 6-0 lead over the Capital Crusaders, as they have been able to capitalize on Crusader miscues thus far. Would like to see one more score as a result of a miscue, as the Crusaders have fumbled the ball away twice. Has to be an encouraging sign for Larry Karras and his Purple Raiders. whose defense had a little bit of problems against Denison University and also Heidelberg College, and now the defense has forced 2 turnovers early in the contest against Capital.
Area win today for Mount Union would be an outstanding morale booster, given the fact that over the next 2 weeks they will be playing at Baldwin Wallace and Ohio Northern and will not return here to Mount Union until the 22nd of October against Muskingum. Grabarczyk turns at his backfield. The give to Frost, and Frost gets down to about the 14-yard line. Again, testing the middle of that Capital line. Big number 75, as we told you, is Bob Toy, and the man standing next to him, number 74, Mike Caulfield. He's 6'2", 235, so there are some big people on that defensive line for the Capital Crusaders. As we heard from both coaches before the ball game, the Capital defense is considered their outstanding feature. Johnson in motion. Grabarczyk to the end zone to Hoja, but he overshot him. Closest to the intended receiver was Phil Kikis from Gahanna. Third down, 8 yards to go. Just a delightful afternoon for football. 69 degrees at game time, and the wind blowing from the southeast at about 10 to 12 miles per hour, sweeping right up the gridiron from left to right.
Also, visitation day here on Mount Union's campus, in addition to being Hall of Fame day, so a lot of things going on.
Hoja, wide to the left. In the slot is Greg Sharp, and now Sharp goes in motion. Flags fly, whistles blow.
Dead ball foul, delay of game, offense. Third down.
Word from Steve Perjanik, and it is still third down, but it sets the ball back over the 20-yard line to the 21. Third and a long 13. One thing we found out in the game with Allegheny, Edelman can hit from the distance. He set a school record field goal in that game. Sharp in motion. Grabarczyk for Hoja. Needed a little more gridiron for that one. Out of bounds. 4th and 14. And now we'll see number 7, Ken Edelman, 5'9", 188 from Brush High School, a sophomore from Lyndhurst, to attempt the field goal.
Grabarczyk going for it all on this one, and just a little too much arm.
Yeah, he had plenty of pressure from 82 Todd Smith. Edelman. Grabarczyk will hold at the 27. The kick is fading, but it makes it. It just made it against the wind, hooking to the left. Edelman drilled it from 37 yards, and it is 9-0 in favor of the Mount Union Purple Raiders with 7:01 to play of the first period.
Well, again, Edelman did what he did against Allegheny. He missed an extra point and comes back with a long field goal to more or less make up for the missed extra point. My recollection, though, in that Allegheny game was a poor snap, and you can't fault him for missing that particular one. But that's really something when you have somebody like Ken Edelman who can hit the long field goal for you and make up for any miscues you might make as a result of missed extra points. So it's a 9-0 Purple Raider lead still in the first quarter with plenty of time remaining in this quarter.
Edelman will kick off, and back deep, number 21 again is Rob DeJarnay, and he's back there with Jeff Armstrong, number 31.
Against Allegheny, after he hit the long field goal, he put it deep into the end zone on the ensuing kickoff.
Right.
Let's see if he gets pumped up the way he did now.
A very high kick, and DeJarnay at the 15. Got a handle on that bar. Open, finds an open door. Caught from behind at the 40-yard line. The tackle was by number 17, Eric Johnson, a 6'2", 184-pound sophomore from Edgewood of Ashtabula.
Yeah, Eric Johnson may have saved the touchdown. DeJarnay having trouble controlling it, but once he cut upfield, he was a handful. from behind, Johnson makes the stop.
He lugs that ball like a loaf of bread. You're going to see another fumble or two if he comes into traffic that way. This is Keel rolling left, and his intended receiver, number 11, Ken Pott, was nailed. He was from Mingo Triad, a 6'3", 185-pound senior, but he had plenty of company from the Purple Raiders' Ned Bahoff.
Good job of rolling left and throwing right by Keel. Had quite a bit on this pass. But nice defense. He actually overthrew it, but good defensive effort by the Purple Raiders.
Dunkel in motion, then gets the ball and comes up the middle to the 44-yard line. Hanging on to him there, number 94, Bill Beach, a junior defensive end from South Range, Canfield.
Capital is just 9 yards rushing right now. And 0 for 1 in the passing department.
Ken Pott is back into the ball game for Capital, and he goes out wide to the left. Dunkel into the slot. Desjardins along the sideline to the right. And there you have somebody jumping. Just as Mike Birchie took off in motion. And the guilty party is going
Dead ball
to be
fall,
Capital.
false start on the offense. Third down.
39-yard line.
Everybody moved except the center forgot to snap the ball.
Third down and about 9.5 yards to go for the first down for Roger Welch's Capital Crusaders from Columbus in the OAC. Defending OAC champions. Prior to that, the Mount Union Purple Raiders had taken a pair of conference titles. Spot out wide to the left. Birchie in motion, and Keel rolls and throws. And Birchie the intended, and I'll tell you this, had that ball not been thrown that high, you would have seen one heck of an interception by Ted Hanlon because he had it measured. He just wasn't tall enough to pick it off.
Yeah, Hanlon was in good position, and again, a roll left, throw right, and a little too much arm, similar to the first pass. Hanlon was thinking about it, wasn't he?
All right, the first Capital punt of the afternoon, and it is driven a long way by Mike Watt, bouncing down to the goal line, and fortunately for the Purple Raiders, into the end zone. The ball will be brought back out to the 20-yard line, and the Mount Union Purple Raiders will take over at their own 20. First and 10 with 5:36 to play here in the first period, and Mount Union leading 9-0. Harry?
Now, Purple Raiders now, given the field position, are going to be forced to drive the football. They have gotten their first couple of scores as a result of turnovers by the Crusaders, and they've enjoyed excellent field position. Now it's a matter of driving the ball. So far, though, Larry Karras has to be pleased with the way the offense has moved the football.
Rabarczyk at quarterback. Johnson in motion. And the give to Paul finds about 3 yards of running room off left tackle. Tackle by John Justice.
Yeah, Justice came up and closed the hole quickly, wrestling Paul to the ground.
Here comes Sam Clemente into the ball game, replacing Johnson. Sam Clemente caught a touchdown pass as Larry Karras continues to chat with his troops on the sideline.
Karras on the sidelines this year. Last year up in the Crow's Nest was calling the plays. Decided to go to the sidelines this year.
Sam Clemente in motion, and Rabarczyk back to throw, and he fires on the short pattern, broken up at the 25-yard line.
That was a big hit by Mark Welch,
the coach's son.
Frost coming out of the backfield again. Rabarczyk eyeing him all the way, and then boom, sandwich time.
Leaving the Mount Union lineup, number 81, Brian Coffey. That will bring Greg Sharp out wide to the right, put Hoja into the slot of the right side. Sam Clemente to the sideline. And Grabarczyk back to throw behind Frost. Decides to tuck it under his arm and go out of bounds at the 32-yard line.
Well, he knew where the first down marker was.
30. Yardage good for the first down.
This time, Grabarczyk wants to throw the football, obviously. And when he sees green in front of him for about 10 or 12 yards, decides just to take it himself. Sees the first down marker and steps out of bounds in front of it.
Measured it perfectly. 4 minutes, 41 seconds to play of the first period. Mount Union has jumped on top 9-0 over the Capital Crusaders here in Alliance, Ohio. Hoja wide left. Sam Clemente in the slot. Goes in motion to the right behind quarterback Keith Grabarczyk. The fake to Paul. Grabarczyk outside, but he cannot elude the defensive pressure applied by Doug Francis, the 6', 190-pound senior from Stowe Walsh.
Yeah, Francis made a great play. Grabarczyk rolling left, trying to pick up some more yards on his own, faking to Paul, but Francis broke through to make a fine stop.
Second down, 12 yards to go for the Mount Union Purple Raiders. 9-0. Mount Union leads. Hoja back from a bad back. He missed last week's game at Heidelberg. Out wide to the right. Sharp in motion to the left. And the give to Paul. He's over the 30 up to the 31, 32-yard line, and he ran into a brick wall there by the name of Bob Toy, 6'2", 240, a senior from Columbus Hartley. The forward progress to the 32.
And Paul looks like he's got some room, but Toy comes up to close the hole. He's a chunk, isn't he?
That's a big Toy. 32-yard line. Third down. 9. Johnson in motion. Grabarczyk fakes to Paul, keeps the ball, rolls and throws. Hoja got a hand on it, couldn't hold it. Defensively for Capital, Ken Bush was there from Ashland, Ohio. And so the Purple Raiders will be forced to punt.
Well, things were going well on that play, because if Bush is on Hoja and Hoja catches the football, I think he's going to win that foot race. But the ball just slightly overthrown, but Grabarczyk, as you see, is pressured prior to throwing the football, had to throw it on the run, and Hoja almost making the circus catch.
Sharp will do the punting. Back at his 17-yard line. Lots of time, and against the wind, the fair catch, fumble, loose ball, and Mount Union has recovered. You can't quarrel with the decision for the fair catch, Harry. However, if you make it, you'd better grab it or in some way protect that ball, and that one got away.
Trevisano, I believe, came up with the football. And that is he on the bottom of the pile. A fine alert play by him.
Trevisano is 5'10", 197, a sophomore from South Euclid Brush High. So the Raiders get their third big break of the afternoon. And Paul pounds the ball just short of the 45-yard line. And most of this game has been played in Capital territory.
And as a result of their own mistakes. Last two fumbles they lost, the Purple Raiders were able to convert into scores. Paul finding a nice hole on the right side. Now wanting to drive the ball again.
San Clemente goes wide to the right. Hoja wide left. San Clemente breaks down the sideline. There's a flag, however, as there's very little gain on the handoff. Paul moved down to the 43-yard line before he was buried. And we'll check the flag. Illegal procedure against Mount Union. Two minutes exactly to play in the first quarter. Mount Union leads 9-0.
Illegal position Offense, 6 men on the line. Repeat, second down.
Ball back to the Mount Union 49.
Well, the ball at the 49-yard line. Referee Steve Perjanik and his crew working this one today in the OAC.
Another possible passing situation for the Purple Raiders. Rabarsic 3 of 6 for 28 yards up to now.
Coming in today, Capital had lost 4 of the 7 fumbles they had, and they are adding to that total today 3 times already. Rabarsic almost intercepted, and it is intercepted on the carom. The man who picked it off on the ricochet, Mark Welch, the coach's son from Gahanna, and a flag on the play may nullify the whole thing. That ball was thrown into some very heavy defensive traffic.
Flag is back at the 50, however, which could be holding against the Purple Raiders anyway.
Well, obviously, the call
Flipping
is against.
on the offense. Declined. First down.
The flipping call declined, and they will give the ball to Capital, and we'll look at it again.
Well, this is nothing but trouble as Rabarsic throws the ball into a crowd after being pursued. And it hits, and then actually Welsh wrestles the ball away and makes a fine defensive play.
John Keel will try to capitalize. They go slot right with Ken Fott going out wide to the right. And Keel rolls that way behind Dunkel. 45 in midfield. Tripped up at midfield by number 92, Rob Dine, a 5'10", 190-pound sophomore from Canton McKinley.
Now Keel, thinking run all the way on this one, has everybody in front of him blocking and picks up some nice yardage.
Handoff right up the middle for short yardage, but enough to carry it over into Mount Union territory. Jones, the carrier. Doug Jones, 5'9", 190, a junior from Columbus Franklin Heights. First down, 10 yards to go for Capital.
That is Capital's first down of this game.
Keel calls it out. Fault is out very wide to the left. Birchie in motion. Keel off tackle to the 45. The book on Capital, Harry, is it is an offense that is not spectacular, but when it's cooking, is very effective. They just grind it out on you. Keel can do enough things well that you can't key on any one aspect of this Capital offense.
This is an efficient offense, you're right, Joe, and they throw it when they need to. They're not considered a throwing team. They like to grind it out.
Into the final 15 seconds of the first quarter, another handoff and more short yardage down to the 41-yard line. That will be the final play of the first period with the ball just shy of the 40. Third down, 3 yards to go at the end of one, 9-0 in favor of the Mount Union Purple Raiders, and we'll be back after this timeout.
Since 1846, Mount Union College has provided higher education on its northeastern Ohio campus. Through sound planning, the support of alumni and other friends, and careful management, the college has maintained a modern physical plant, strong library and media resources, and an array of technical and scientific equipment. And all of this in a debt-free environment with strong endowment support and a budget in balance for more than 3 decades.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy distinctive all-time favorites with WBNX. Each Sunday at noon, Classic Theater presents movies to stir your every emotion. Popular novels, high adventure, intense drama, and fun-filled comedy. Soar with the heroes and week with the week. Your imagination's the limit on TV 55's Classic Theater.
Was a man
be my squaw.
Among the legends of the wild frontier, none has captured the heart of America like the adventures of Daniel Boone.
I'll just leave that argument for later.
Fess Parker is Daniel Boone, Saturdays at noon and Sunday mornings at 10 on TV 55.
Daniel Boone.
Well, after one quarter of play, the Mount Union College Purple Raiders with a 9-0 advantage over the Capital Crusaders. And it's been an encouraging first quarter for Mount Union, which has had troubles in games 2 and 3 against Denison and Heidelberg, and they needed a good first quarter to try to get that confidence factor back against these Crusaders. And you know, it used to be in the OAC that you had to be undefeated to win the conference, but given the fact that things are so well balanced these days, 1 and possibly 2 losses is often good enough. The Purple Raiders obviously don't want to lose another one in the conference, and it was important that they get off to a good start here against Capital.
Looking at some of the first half statistics, Rabarczyk is 3 for 8 for 28 yards and a TD in passing. John Keel has tossed twice and missed them both for the Capital Crusaders. Hall, 11 net yards and 7 tries rushing. Keel, 3 tries and 16 yards. So the ball belongs to Capital, and Dunkel from the 40 to the 37 and down. It's enough, it would appear, from here for a first down. Certainly very close to it. Hanlon was in on the tackle, and it is first down. 10 yards to go as Capital grinds it out.
And they continue to grind it as Dunkel takes it right up the middle to get that second first down for the Crusaders.
37-yard line for the 1st and 10. Desjardins is back into the ball game and is split very wide to the left. Dunkel in motion to the right, gets the pitch, cuts over the 35 down to the 33-yard line. The tackle made for the Purple Raiders by number 58, Dave Lasecki, 5'10", 208, a sophomore from Cleveland Central Catholic. Number 4, Todd D'Alessio into the ball game for the Capital Crusaders, along with number 36, Ty Harsh, a sophomore fullback from London Madison Plains. But it is Birchie who gets the ball and gets as far as the 30-yard line. That'll make it third down and a long 3 for the Capital Crusaders at the Mount Union 30-yard line.
Birchie, another typical type of runner for Capital. Drives hard, picks up the tough yardage. And this is the type of down where Keel can do so many different things.
Thought comes out wide left. Birchie flank to the right, then breaks into motion as Keel rolls left. And from the 30, overshoots, fought down at the 15-yard line. Double coverage down there for the Mount Union Purple Raiders. Dave Lasecki was in on the play along with Ned Baha. So fourth down, a long 3, the ball at the Mount Union 30 for the Capital Crusaders.
Jeff Fields is their place kicker. I do not see him coming onto the field, however. And now, as you see the replay, this is where Keel decides he was thinking about running, pulled up short, thought he had a receiver, but overthrew him.
D'Alessio is very wide to the left, but the play goes to the right, and it goes absolutely nowhere.
Dunkel never had a chance.
Leading the attack for the Mount Union Purple Raiders was Steve Pullinger. He's a 6-foot, 182-pound junior from Chardon, and the Purple Raiders have held. So thus far, it has been the opportunistic defense of Mount Union, and this time it was just solid defensive work that stymied Capital down at the 30-yard line.
What the Purple Raiders would like to see now is a nice time-consuming drive that results in some points.
Rabarczyk winds up looking for Hoja and throws it right onto the running track. And if you're going to get rid of it, make sure it's long gone. Second down, 10 yards to go. Next week, the Capital Crusaders will be homestanding against Ohio Northern. And the Mount Union Purple Raiders have 3 more home games remaining. October 22nd, Muskingum. November the 5th, Wittenberg. And November the 12th, Otterbein. And it was Otterbein that beat this Capital club last week 14-0. Paul grinding his way over the 30-yard line to about the 32. The tackle made by number 66, Doug Francis.
He's been all over the field. Francis having a fine game thus far.
Francis, 6 feet even, 190 pounds, from Stowe Walsh Jesuit.
Paul did well to drive forward there as he got stood up by Francis. Showed some good second effort.
3rd down, 9 yards to go. San Clemente. Rabarsic back. As he is hit, he fires. Hoja couldn't hang on, and Rabarsic was level back at the 25-yard line. He took a solid hit.
Rabarsic back. He does get hit. You saw the tail end of it. And Sean Kelly here giving a little shove at the end. There was a little bit more extracurricular going on at the end of that play.
That was that linebacker Doug Francis applying the pressure to Rabarsic. But now it's punt time for Mount Union. Sharp back at the 15-yard line, steps up to the 21 and gets off a good one with the wind. Desjardins collars it at the 19, running laterally, gets away. No, he did not get away from the outstretched hands of Dave DiBiase. 5'9", 186, a freshman from Central Catholic down in Steubenville. He did a super job of containing the run-back efforts of Desjardins, Harry.
Nice open field tackle. Desjardins had his vision set on cutting it upfield right there, but not so. So Capital pinned deep in their own territory once again. Have not been able to get much of drive going. Fine tackle again, as you see on the replay.
From the 15-yard line, 12-11 to go in the first half. John Keel for the Capital Crusaders. Spins, keeps, gets over the 15, up to the 17. The ball comes loose. The whistle blows, and the Mount Union Purple Raiders have recovered their 4th fumble of the afternoon. That is 8 fumbles on the season lost now by Capital, and half of them have come here today.
Dave Crawford with the recovery. 97 comes up with a big one. And the Crusaders just cannot hang on to the football. Purple Raiders have converted on 2 out of the 3. And in business again here.
Johnson wide right. The give to Paul, and he is to the 10. He is down to the 7-yard line. That is Don Israel, who has replaced Paul in the Mount Union backfield momentarily.
Now the delay here, and Israel has a lot of real estate and does manage to get it just inside the 10.
Well, the ball at the 7. 2nd down, 2 for the first down. Israel plunges forward inside the 5, and the Mount Union Purple Raiders have another first down, and this one will be 1st and goal to go. And Roger Welch puts a couple of big number 90s into the ball game. 91 is Vincent Masalaro, 5'10", 250 from Pittsburgh, and Jim Congrove, 6 feet even, 185 from Bexley. So they are beefing up the middle of that Capital line in a goal line stand at the 4-yard line. 11:10 to go in the first half. Rabarsic to Frost to the 4. No gain. Well, they tested some of that tonnage in the middle of the defensive line, and there was very little giving.
Now you have to believe that the middle is going to be tough to get through. They're big as it is, even when they don't bring in some of those monsters on the goal line defense.
Well, they keep Toy and Caulfield out there, and they are both well over 200 pounds. So that middle of the defensive Capital line is a real wall. Another handoff, and again, short yardage by Frost. He may be down to about the 3 by the time they peel off all of those white jerseys. 10:20 to go in the first half. 9-0 Mount Union.
Frost again testing the middle of that line. Austintown Fitch product.
Well, they bring out the big guys. They come rumbling off to the near side of the field, and Mount Union Stadium tilts a little bit as they get to the sideline.
That field did used to tilt.
Yes, it did.
But not because of the players.
Rabarsic with Johnson in motion. The give to Israel. He breaks the initial contact, but running laterally is knocked down to the 8-yard line. And that will bring up a try for field goal by Kent Edelman.
Well, Israel did well to slip out of the first attempt to bring him down, but then didn't have a chance. The Crusaders regrouped and brought him down gang style.
That initial hit was by Doug Francis. And how many times have we spoken his name this afternoon? Rabarsic to hold at the 15. Edelman already 1 for 1 in field goal tries. Pounds this one into the air and good. 12-0. Mount Union as Kent Edelman has drilled a pair of field goals. That one was a 25-yard shot with 9:08 to play here in the first period. And Harry, how beneficial it is when you have a guy who has the consistent toe.
Well, Edelman has proven that, hitting on a couple of field goals, one of 37 and another of 25, and now 4 fumbles by the Crusaders. Purple Raiders have converted on 3 out of the 4, but you know, when you figure that they fumbled 4 times and the score is only 12-0, Capital has to feel somewhat good about that.
There's another bright new feature of college football and Alliance on this Saturday afternoon. The Mount Union Band in their brand new uniforms, and they look very, very nice.
Spanking new, as they say. They were supposed to be ready for the Allegheny game, didn't quite have them, so they're making their debut here in Alliance against the Crusaders, and you're right, that's a fine marching band under the direction of Robert Bayless.
Edelman will kick with the wind this time. 9:08 to play in the second quarter. Mount Union has moved to a 12-0 lead. Edelman got a lot of foot into this one and drives Desjarnais into the end zone, and the ball keeps right on going. Touchback, 1st and 10 for the Capital Crusaders at their own 20-yard line.
Well, there you saw an example of the wind being a factor. Edelman kicking off the other way got the ball high, but it just kind of stayed up there. This time he drove it into the end zone.
The only statistic that I have questioned at all this afternoon from Tom Buchanek and his staff was when they gave us 69 degrees and light and variable breezes, because that wind is anything but light and variable. It is blowing right up this gridiron and stands Old Glory right out from the staff at the north end of the field. Keel at quarterback. He's going to drop back and let her rip. It is caught, his first reception of the afternoon. And the receiver is Birchie, Mike Birchie. He made the grab up at the 27-yard line. Second down, 3 yards to go.
Lasecki making the play, and there was no question about what Keel wanted to do here. Looked like he wanted to air it out, but saw the receiver cutting across. Birchie. Lasecki making the tackle, a sure tackle.
Wide to the right is Todd DeLessio. In motion is Birchie. The fake and then pitch to Birchie, and fortunately for Mike Birchie, he fumbled it out of bounds. The timing on the pitch outs this afternoon has really been off. That one was behind the intended receiver.
Things just a bit out of sync here for the Crusaders. That pitch was just behind him. Birchie never having the opportunity to handle it. And it's at this point it becomes mental whether they can pull off the handoffs, the simple handoffs, and the pitches.
Caught wide to their right. They move Birchie into the slot. John Keel goes to the right, pitches back to Dunkel, and gets to the 30-yard line, and it looks as though he is right at the necessary distance for the first down.
Play was a little slow in developing for the Crusaders, but Dunkel did a good job of picking his way through to get just enough yardage for that first down.
1st and 10 at the Capital 30-yard line. 8:07 to play in the first half. D'Alessio wide to the left. Birchie in motion. Keel follows his fullback up to the 35-yard line, a pickup of 4, 2nd down and 6 yards to go. It is 12-0 Mount Union, and I may live to regret these words as the afternoon goes along, Harry. But from what I have seen thus far of this Capital Ball Club, they really have to grind out whatever they get. Another Mount Union score and Capital would be in a big bit of trouble trying to catch up. This is not a catch-up type offense unless Keel's got some tricks we haven't seen yet.
I would agree, and I think Roger Welsh feels the same way.
Keel to Fought, sliding catch at the 48. And that'll be a 1st and 10 for Capital.
Well, Keel now is 2 of 5, but he's completed his last 2 passes, so his confidence level probably building just a bit. Nice pattern by Fought. And this is the first semblance of a drive that Capital has been able to put together.
Keel rolls and fumbled the ball, but it went out of bounds as it was knocked away from him at the 50-yard line. That'll make it 2nd down and 7 yards to go at the Mount Union. Now they'll bring it all the way down to the 46. So 2nd down and 6 yards to go at the 46-yard line.
Yeah, he got a nice little bounce off his knee before the ball bounced out of bounds, picked up an extra couple of yards.
Desjardins brings the play call in from Roger Welsh to quarterback John Keel, and then Desjardins goes wide to the right. Dunkel in motion. Keel follows him out to the right. 45 and 40. He was tripped up by number 40, Steve Pullinger from Chardon, and then belted down by number 20, Ned Bohoff. 1st and 10, Capital grinding it out.
Now Keel picking up some good yardage here on his own. He gets tripped here, and then Milburn puts on the finishing touches.
40-yard line, 1st down, 10 yards to go. Ball, the clock ticking down to 6.5 minutes to play in the first half. 12-0, Mount Union leads. Birchie in motion to the left. And the fullback for the Capital Crusaders, number 40, Doug Jones, pounds ahead. And the junior takes it down to the 35-yard line.
Kind of looks like something out of Wrigley Field. Just the brick wall. No ivy, though.
2nd and 5 for the Capital Crusaders. Fought out wide to the right. Dunkel gives, however, to Jones. Jones pounds his way down to the 31, 32-yard line, leaving it 3rd and short yardage. But that clock just keeps banging away. It's down to 5:28 and counting.
This is a typical Capital type of a drive. But now Roger Welsh hoping that his Crusaders can get something out of this one. It certainly is taking enough time. But down 12-0, it's not panic time yet as far as your offensive strategy goes.
Rod D'Alessio comes out very wide to the left. Birchie into the backfield. That slots Dunkel at the left end of the Capital line, and Keel throws out to him. He makes a good catch of a difficult throw and is knocked down for the first down at the 28-yard line. The initial contact made by Ted Hanlon.
Well, this is actually a pitch because he threw it behind. But Dunkel makes the reception. The tackle just missed there, and Dunkel getting enough for the first down.
4 minutes, 47 seconds to play in the first half. D'Alessio stays in the game. We've been alternating with Fought today. Dunkel in motion. And there's no room for Birchie down at the 30-yard line. And he is belted down by number 97, Dave Crawford.
He won't get credit for the tackle, but Tom Beard is the guy who got there to cause all the problems there. Beard kind of nudges him. And the finishing touches were put on by Crawford. Yeah.
5'11", 190 from North Canton, Hoover. Fought us back into the ball game, out wide right. Keel back to Dunkel, and Dunkel gets to the 20-yard line. Stopped down to the 20-yard line by Mike Garn, who has had a change in job description in the last couple of weeks, Harry.
Back to safety. And Dunkel finding a nice seam here.
.333 to play of the first half. Fought to the sideline on the right. Dunkel remains flanked to the left. And Keel gives to Birchie, and Birchie is level. And again, the man who gets credit for the tackle, all well and good, but the fella in the middle of the line who stopped that whole thing was number 58. That was Dave Lasecki.
And it was Chuck Milburn again in on the tackle at the end, putting the finishing touches on. Milburn was the OAC Defensive Player of the Week after his performance against Allegheny.
Into the game for Capital, number 36, Ty Harsh. Bring out Fought wide to the left. That's the pound up the middle for the short yardage, and it would appear the first down. First down for the Crusaders of Capital as they have moved inside the 20-yard line to the 18.
Well, it's a fine drive by Capital. Whenever they've gotten things going in the past in this game, they've fumbled it away. This time, though, a little more confident.
Dunkel, Birchie, and Jones have pounded out some yardage along with John Keel, who has the ball. The quarterback for Capital thinks pass, says let's run, and does. Out of bounds. He goes out at the 15-yard line. Second down, 7. Keel now 10 for 37, 38 yards.
Well, he's the leading rusher on the team at this point. And he is a multifaceted quarterback. He's able to throw the ball on the run. He drops back occasionally. He's had just 2 completions in 5 attempts.
Desjardins wide right. Birchie into the slot. Leading Jones and Dunkel as the 2 set behind Keel. And Keel keeps it after the fake to Jones and gets inside the 10-yard line. And again, close to another Capital first down. It'll be third down and about a yard to go at the Mount Union 9-yard line with 2 minutes and 3 seconds to play in the half.
Keel faking inside, but finds the hole right side, pounds it on down inside the 10.
A minute and 50 to play of the first half. Fought out wide to the right. Jones and Dunkel, the pro set of the backfield. Birchie goes in motion, gets the ball to the 5 and inside the 5. This is classic Capital football right now.
It is. The offensive line is doing a great job right now, blowing the Mount Union defense out of there and creating some nice holes. There's the end zone shot, and you see exactly what I'm talking about. There is a big hole there for Birchie.
Timeout call by the Mount Union Purple Raiders with a minute and 24 to play here in the first half. Mount Union leading 12-0, but the Capital Crusaders are knocking on the door with a long, grinding drive that started back at their own 15-yard line.
This has not been a great game for Capital, having lost 4 fumbles, but down 12-0 and an opportunity here to score. They have to feel pretty fortunate at this point in the game because they had Mount Union been able to convert those 4 fumbles into touchdowns. They'd be over by now. But the defense has hung in there. They've held Mount Union to just a couple of field goals after the initial touchdown, and they're very much in this contest.
That's the key. I've got good news and bad news. The good news, Capital has fumbled 4 times. The bad news, Mount Union has only 12 points. 1:24 to play in the first half. Capital just 4 yards away from the end zone. Capital has had 3 third-down conversions today and 1 fourth-down conversion. This, however, is first and goal.
At halftime, you'll be able to watch a spot on the Mount Union College Hall of Fame and the induction of Chick Campbell, basketball star of the 60s. So we'll look forward to that.
Jones into a wall of purple at the 2-yard line. And now it is Capital that calls timeout with 1 minute and 20 seconds to play in the first half. Capital, for very obvious reasons, desperately needs this score before the intermission. By the same token, if Mount Union could somehow keep them out of the end zone, it would be a great morale booster. In fact, we may sit back at about 5 o'clock this afternoon, Harry, at the end of this game and say, this is the drive that decided the outcome.
Very true. A lot hinges on what happens here. Strategies of the second half will definitely be shaped by whether Capital scores here or not.
Well, the Capital Crusaders bring Todd D'Alessio back into the ball game. He's 5'11", 160, a sophomore from Cameron, West Virginia. Wears number 4.
I want to thank First American Savings Bank for being the sole sponsor of today's contest. We're very grateful for them, and they are the ones responsible for allowing us to bring this to you.
Keel, the quarterback. Dunkel in motion. The fake to Jones, the pitch to Dunkel, and he can't turn the corner. Wrestled to the ground by number 40, Steve Fellinger, the junior from Chardon, and that makes it 3rd down and 2 yards to go.
Well, Fellinger makes the play here. Again, Dunkel goes pretty deep to take the pitch. And Fellinger stayed right there and brought him down. Got a little help from his friends. There's the end zone shot as you see it develop.
Jeff Rita is going to put the follow-up clincher, but it is Fellinger who got the job done defensively. Keel has had a discussion with the Capital coaching staff. John Keel, number 5. He is 5'9", 170, a senior quarterback from West Jefferson.
You know, you look at the 2 coaches in this game, Roger Welsh and Larry Karras, and you think about the programs at Mount Union and Capital, and they are succeeding the people for whom they coached under for so many years. You had 2 legends retired about the same time, in Gene Slaughter at Capital and Ken Wabel at Mount Union, and these kind of a new era for both teams, but these 2 coaches certainly have done a fine job.
3rd and goal at the 2. And did he make it?
Don't think so.
I don't think so is right. Rita closed the door just shy of the goal line. It is now 4th down. Here's the replay.
Urchie tries to take it in on the right side, and there's a host of purple there. And now we're down to 4th and goal at about the 1.
Into the ball game, number 36, Ty Harsh at fullback. Number 11, Ken Falk, their flanker back, and he is out wide to the left. And a pile up at the goal line, and I don't think they got it.
Crusaders are signaling for it, but we have not seen a striped jersey signal the touchdown.
Somewhere down there at the bottom of all that is the football. And it is a touchdown. Way down at the bottom of that pile, John Keel. And Mount Union begrudgingly yields the 6 points.
Boy, how in the world you can know that he scored a touchdown after waiting that long is difficult to understand, but Keel must have had the ball over the goal line.
All right, the try by Jeff Fields is up, and it is good. So the game takes on a new complexion just prior to halftime. 23 seconds to play of the first half. Mount Union 12 and the Capital Crusaders 7. We'll look at this try for the TD, and it's just John Keel doing his groundhog impersonation into that crowd.
Try for Capital covers 80 yards, 20 plays.
Big touchdown for the Crusaders. That'll certainly give them new life. And it's an impressive drive.
20 plays, 80 yards. It took 8 minutes and 45 seconds to do it. So the Capital Crusaders will give the ball back to Mount Union here in the closing moments of the first half. Roger Ripley will do the kicking. He is 5'8", 170 pounds, a sophomore from Groveport. 23 seconds left to the first half.
These are the types of games you worry about. Even though you're ahead, you seem to have dominated, but you're going to maybe go in just 5 points ahead, depending on what happens in these last 23 seconds.
The ball trickles downfield in the neighborhood of the 30. Picking the ball up is number 44, John Trevisano. He bounced off one intended tackle and goes down at the 43-yard line with 18 seconds to play of the first half. First down, 10 yards to go. They'll spot the ball to the 43. And right now, the people who feel the pressure for Capital, number 49, Charlie Gibson, a defensive back. Number 20 is Bill Kikis. And number 28, Sean Kelly. They are the deep men for the Capital Crusaders. Rabarsic turns, and rather than passing, hands to Frost, and he goes ahead to the 49-yard line. And that takes the clock to 9, 8, and counting with 7. And it would appear that unless somebody blows the whistle, the first half is history, and it is. At the intermission, here in Alliance, Ohio, at Mount Union College Football Stadium, the Mount Union Purple Raiders 12, Capital 7, and we'll be back at halftime after this timeout.
Lifelong friendships are formed during the college years. Mount Union has a tradition of fostering personal relationships. Social life includes active national sororities and fraternities, as well as college-sponsored recreation and entertainment. The campus is the site of hundreds of popular events each year in music, drama, film, and art. Student-initiated events are highlighted by dances and concerts.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank.
The Mount Union College Athletic Hall of Fame was established in 1960 to honor student-athletes and coaches of Mount Union who have distinguished themselves. Sponsored by the M Club, the college's letter-winning organization, the Hall of Fame features inductions of former Mount Union greats once each year. A number of criteria are used for selection, the most important of which is that the individual must have been so outstanding that there is no question of his or her qualifying for the Hall of Fame. Other requirements include that an athlete must have received a degree from Mount Union. An athlete must have earned 2 letters in one sport or 1 letter in each of 2 sports, and an athlete must have graduated at least 21 years prior to selection. Coaches or athletic administrators can be selected only after they have retired or left the college 5 years prior to selection, and they must have either lettered at Mount Union or served on the coaching staff for 5 years. Nominations for the Hall of Fame are made by M Club members, and final selections are made by the individuals comprising the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. This year, Charles Chick Campbell became the 89th member to be selected to the Hall of Fame. He was the leading scorer on Mount Union's last Ohio Athletic Conference basketball championship team in 1966, averaging 17.3 points per game. For his career, Campbell averaged 15.6 points per game and shot an incredible 81% from the free throw line. He became the 3rd member of Mount Union's 1,000-point club, a distinction held by just 14 players to this day. A native of Atwater, Campbell earned the Bachelor of Science degree from Mount Union and MD degree from the University of Pittsburgh in 1970, specializing in cardiology. Dr. Campbell is currently a professor of surgery at the Pritzker School of Medicine at the University of Chicago. He and his wife, Jean, also a 1966 Mount Union graduate, reside in Kenilworth, Illinois, with their 3 children.
Today is Hall of Fame Day here at Mount Union College in Alliance, Ohio, and we're delighted to welcome to our microphone and camera at halftime Dr. Charles Chick Campbell, who has been inducted today into the Mount Union College Hall of Fame, a man who has made quite a mark in medicine since leaving Mount Union, but while he was here, made quite a mark in basketball. And first of all, congratulations on the honor, and I would imagine it's kind of interesting for you to come back under these circumstances.
Well, it's always interesting to come back to a small college and see old friends and kind of enjoy old times together.
How has the campus changed since you were here 22 years ago?
Well, if anyone can remember that long ago, we played in the old pit behind the stadium here where it was unbelievable, the small seating area and the atmosphere in general, as opposed to the new field house and many new dormitories. The university, or the college, looks very nice at the present time.
Doctor, we were chatting. You're a personal friend of John Crashman, Geld, who had quite a career in the NBA, so I would assume you've followed basketball as best you can. How has the game of basketball changed since you were performing for the Purple Raiders?
Probably in watching basketball over the years, it's quite obvious the players are taller and they're faster. I would say those are the 2 major changes that have occurred with the players themselves. Three-point play, as you know, has come into effect at the college level, and I think that has helped tremendously with reference to the maintaining some what shall we say, maintaining the small man's role in the game. The three-point play has helped that immensely, and I think it's good for the game.
Would you have enjoyed playing under the three-point rule?
Very much, very much.
I would be remiss if I did not ask you, Dr. Campbell, how did your years at Mount Union College, your liberal arts education, prepare yourself for your career in medicine, which obviously has gone on to bigger and better things?
I think that's a good question. In my mind, the liberal arts education helps immensely in a number of areas, but one of them may be in patient-doctor relationships. It's hard to believe, but it's good to have a well-balanced background so that we can deal with the patients, discuss various aspects of their life, which in the role of more scientific endeavors today that we see in medicine is very important.
Dr. Campbell, welcome back to Mount Union College. Congratulations on your enrollment in the Hall of Fame, and I sincerely hope you continue to have many fine successes.
Thank you.
That is Dr. Charles Campbell, the newest entry into the Mount Union Hall of Fame. We'll have more at halftime, right after this timeout.
What does Mount Union seek to accomplish? Just this, an enriching undergraduate education for our students, which prepares them for a life of satisfaction for themselves and service to others. This is the tradition you discover at Mount Union College. And although commencement signals a change, it begins a lifetime of homecoming, where visions were formed and memories are kept.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank.
Back here at Mount Union Stadium, it's halftime. Halftime just about over, and it's 12-7. Mount Union College leading the Capital University Crusaders in what has been an interesting contest, a game that has allowed Mount Union to capitalize on mistakes to take the lead. Capital, however, making a fine drive near the end of the second quarter to get on the scoreboard and get back into the contest. An interesting statistic in this game, Joe, is the fact that Capital has actually outgained Mount Union 125-72 in total offense and is 5 points behind.
80 of those yards came on that drive prior to halftime, which culminated in the quarterback sneak for a touchdown. Kent Edelman kicks for Mount Union to start the second half. It is picked off by Desjardins at the 20, 25, and the 30, and knocked to the ground at the 30-yard line by number 26, Jeff Bartlett, a 6'1", 172 freshman from Canton Perry. They spot the ball just across the 31. First down, 10 yards to go for Capital. Capital won the opening coin flip, but deferred their receiving the ball into the outset of the second half. They went on defense immediately, and Mount Union had several golden opportunities, but could come away in the first half with only 12 points. And now they will be called upon to stop a Capital team that may have settled down. The pitch outside to Dunkel, and he is driven out of bounds by number 40, Steve Fellinger.
Well, Dunkel has been the workhorse in this game. As you'll watch him take the pitch again. He's carried the ball 9 times now for 27 yards.
Gain of 2. Second down, 8 yards to go. D'Alessio wide to the left. Desjardins outside right on the sideline. Dunkel in motion. And back to pass is John Keel to Desjardins. He is hit as he catches the ball, but he hung on in traffic and has a 1st and 10 for Capital at the Mount Union 48-yard line.
Well, Garn made the hit, but Desjardins made a fine reception. Keel, on occasion, has dropped back as he did on this play. And he's got a fine arm on target this time. Takes the hit as Desjardins picks up the first down.
Fought to the sideline. Keel rolls that way and hits Fought right on the numbers. And he can't hang on. Second down, 10 yards to go. Both times that Keel has dropped straight back to pass, Harry, the pass defense as far as the line is concerned to give him protection has been outstanding. He has had all kinds of time to set up and throw back there.
He has that time had time and threw a bullet but couldn't hang on to the football.
D'Alessio out wide to the left. Birchie in motion. Keel with the option to pitch to Birchie, keeps it himself and goes down to the 42-yard line. A tackle applied by Scott Fenton. It is second down. Let's make it third down now, and about 3 yards to go at the 42-yard line. Well, Capital, after a very shaky start, got their act together in the second period. Took the bulk of the second quarter to drive 80 yards in 20 plays for a touchdown. Here goes Keel. The 40, the 35, and down to the 33-yard line. That was a neat bit of running before Mike Garn took him down. And had some help along the way by Ned Baughoff.
Well, and again, we see the versatility of Keel here. Everybody thinking pass, and then he saw the hole left side and cut upfield, found the seam, tried to cut it back, and then wisely dove for the ground when he saw the purple closing in on him.
Keel was thinking pass, too, until that door opened up. Desjardins wide right. D'Alessio wide left, and again, Keel dragged down from behind by big number 97, Dave Crawford. The sophomore from North Canton Hoover kept the Capital quarterback from picking up more yardage.
Well, Keel's trying to do it all now. This is a more or less a quarterback draw, and Crawford would have none of it. Sniffed that out nicely. But Keel's handling the football a lot more right now. Seems like his confidence has built considerably as this game has gone along.
Second and 10. Fought wide right. Keel finds him, hits him, and Fought is down at the 21-yard line. Now the passing game for Capital is coming together, and they are looking very tough at the moment.
Well, we talked about that drive near the end of the first half as being something that could provide impetus if Capital could get it in. They did, and they come out smoking here in the third quarter.
21-yard line, first down, 10 yards to go for the Capital Crusaders. Mount Union leading 12-7 with 12:24 to play in the third period. Birchie in motion. The give to Jones, and the fullback pounds ahead inside the 20-yard line to the 18. The third quarter has been a tough time in every football game thus far this year for Mount Union. They have been outscored in the third period this year, collectively 30-6.
And the third quarter has been a big quarter for Capital University. Their best scoring quarters have been the second and third quarters. So that combination does not bode well for the fortunes of Mount Union, but need to stiffen up here.
Desjardins way outside to the left. Dunkel in motion, and Keel flips it to Dunkel just as he was nailed, and Dunkel goes down to the 20-yard line. Just as the Purple Raiders, Bill Beach put the hammer on Keel, he was able to get the ball to the trailing back and pick up 3 yards. Make it 2. Third down, 8 yards.
And there you see some halftime statistics. Capital, even though they were down 12-7 at halftime, dominating in many areas, including time of possession.
D'Alessio flanked to the right. And that was Birchie in motion, and Keel with a lot of time. Gets an excellent block, and the pass almost intercepted by a diving Mike Garn down at the 10-yard line.
And that breaks a string of 5 consecutive completions by Keel. That time it was Tom Beard who finally applied some pressure and forced Keel to throw the ball away.
There will be a field goal try from the 25-yard line by Jeff Fields. The kick is up, and it is good. He lined it from the 25, a 35-yard field goal, and with 10:46 to go, this game has really turned into football. 3 field goals in the game, 12-10, Mount Union leads by 2. Harry?
Well, another fine drive by the Crusaders, this time falling just a bit short, having to settle for the field goal, but you can just see the confidence level building in Capital, a team that committed 4 costly turnovers in the first half before they were able to put together an 80-play drive in 20 plays to end the first half. And now here they come out in the third quarter and move the ball down the field, get some more points on the board, and trailing now by just 2 points.
The confidence factor, the field position, and the execution have all turned in favor of the Capital Crusaders.
Shot there of Roger Welsh, the head mentor of the Crusaders, pacing the sidelines. Tell you, last time Capital invaded Mount Union Stadium, the Purple Raiders put an end to the game fairly early, finally coming away with a 45-6 victory. And the way things started in this game, it looked like it was going to be curtains again early for the Crusaders, but not so.
Well, the kickoff picked off, and up the field comes Garn. The 40, 45, 50, caught from behind, fumbles the ball. It's loose, and the Capital Crusaders have recovered. It's like looking in a mirror, Harry.
That sure is.
Just an absolute opposite reflection.
Now, that was a fine return by Garn, and at the tail end, he loses the football. Be interested in seeing this replay to see whether the ground actually caused this fumble. Nice seam there, and it looks as though he may be able to break it to the outside for perhaps 6, but gets caught from behind. Yeah, it's hard to see because we had the back view of it, but nonetheless, the Crusaders have come up with the ball.
That was Chris Lutman who caught him from behind. So Capital at midfield. Keel going to throw for Desjardins and overshot him at the 30-yard line. Well, we've had field goals by Edelman of 37 and 25 yards, and now a 35-yarder by Jeff Fields, as the 12-10 score still in favor of Mount Union with 10:29 to play in the third quarter. And Roger Welch, the fine Capital coach, brings in Todd D'Alessio, and he will be flanked wide to the right. Fought goes out to the left. The fullback, Doug Jones, kicks some loose side out of the way. Dunkel in motion. The pitch back to Dunkel, the fumble. He came down on top of the ball, and Capital has retained possession. Second down and a pickup of about 1.5 yards.
Even the bounces are a little bit different here in this half, as the Crusaders this time able to recover their own fumble. Dunkel again on the pitch, has the ball stripped, but was able to pounce on it.
10 minutes to play in the third quarter. Desjardins goes wide left. Birchie flank to the right. He is now in motion. Keel rolls, looks, throws right down the sideline. Jones and Dunkel were both along the sideline, but well covered. The pass out of bounds brings it to fourth down and 8 yards to go.
The Crusaders unable to score, but they have gained field position at least as a result of the Purple Raider fumble. As you watch Keel throw the ball out of bounds.
Johnson and Garn back in double safety as the kick is away, and a fair catch called for by Garn at the 10-yard line. Well, Mike Watt did the punting, and the Purple Raiders are going to have to put together a long, sustained drive for themselves if they hope to improve their situation here in the third quarter. 9:36 to play. Mount Union 12-10. Harry?
Well, 9:36 left to play, and Mount Union is yet to run its first play from scrimmage here in the second half.
Ed Hoja coming out wide to the right. Julio San Clemente, who caught a touchdown pass in the first quarter, to the left, but the give is to Paul, and he pounds his way up to the 19-yard line. Number 23, Dean Paul, a junior, 5'10", 189 from Garrettsville, Garfield.
On the delay, Paul finds himself a hole, and he runs hard. He's been an impressive rusher. You know, he's had some big shoes to fill, and Russ Kring, having graduated, being the All-America that he was, Dean Paul has picked up the slack quite well.
Robarczyk turns, and on a handoff, nothing happening. Paul that time was greeted virtually as he picked up the ball. No gain.
And this is your interior line of the Capital defense, standing up Paul and setting up a third and short.
Third and a long yard. Sharp and San Clemente come out of the game. Now your wide receivers, Hoja and Johnson. The give is to Frost. He has the first down and a lot of territory to go with it. Brian Frost up to the 31-yard line. Frost 5'5", 158, a senior from Austintown Fitch. And his pickup gives the Mount Union Purple Raiders first and 10 at their own 30.
Now this is the longest run of the day from scrimmage for the Purple Raiders. 10 yards by Brian Frost, and another nice job by the right side of the offensive line to give Frost that hole.
He almost equaled his entire rushing yardage for the afternoon on that gallop. First and 10. Johnson in motion. Robarczyk turns, fakes to Paul, keeps it himself, and is knocked down at the 32, perhaps the 33-yard line, a pickup of no more than 2 yards. 7:49 to play in the third quarter. 12-10, Mount Union leads.
You know, we mentioned early on that these two teams have been in first place and won the conference in each of the last 3 years. The Purple Raiders are doing it twice, Capital once. It's hard to believe, though, that those were the first time that they were able to win the conference for both teams, because they have a long tradition in the Ohio Athletic Conference, but it's been a league that's been dominated by others.
In motion, Sharp. Robarczyk stands and throws to Hoja, who caught the ball and was knocked down on the spot, but it's good for the first down. Again, at number 66 for the Capital Crusaders is Doug Francis.
Hoja makes a fine reception here. Robarczyk with just enough time, a lot of hands in his face. Hoja makes a fine catch and holds on.
First down, 10 yards to go. This drive started at the 10-yard line. Now out to the 43. Robarczyk to Paul. Paul breaks free at the 50 to the 45-yard line before he is finally wrestled down by number 20, Bill Kikis.
And now the Purple Raiders on an impressive drive. They have been the beneficiaries of some breaks and have taken the ball in for some points, but now they're called upon to march the football, and this has been a good one as you watch Paul break a tackle there and pick up some additional yardage.
First down, 10 yards to go. Ball to the Capital 45-yard line. San Clemente goes out wide to the right. Hoja wide to the left. Paul and Frost, the setbacks behind Robarczyk. The turn, the give to Frost, and he drives down to the 43-yard line. Picked up a couple of yards. Second down, 8 yards to go. 12-10, Mount Union leads with 6:15 to play on a sunny Saturday afternoon in Alliance, Ohio at Mount Union College Football Stadium. The Purple Raiders will next be home on Saturday, October the 22nd against Muskingum. They'll finish at home November 5th against Wittenberg and November the 12th against Otterbein.
That 22nd date is homecoming on the Mount Union campus.
Robarczyk to Frost. He wiggles away from the initial hit and was able to fall down to the 41-yard line. They'll put it back at the 42, and that means third down, 8 yards to go. 5:38 to play, third quarter.
Frost number getting called on another occasion here. Dragged some people with him, but there just was no room.
He was finally knocked down by Brian White from Wheelersburg, Ohio, a junior. Hoja wide right. San Clemente wide left to the sideline. Robarczyk fakes to Paul, fires for Hoja, who just couldn't quite get there. Ball was thrown high at the 25-yard line.
And a fine play by Sean Kelly, who was covering Hoja. Just distracted him enough that he couldn't catch the football.
Robarczyk hung right in there, but threw high, and Hoja, who is playing with a bad back, couldn't come up with a handle. So the best that the Purple Raiders can hope for now is to pin Capital deep in its own territory with 5 minutes to play in the third quarter. They're back to do the punting. Drives the ball up against the wind. A fair catch called for by Desjarnais, and he hangs on, and contact is made. Those are the mistakes that will kill you.
Totally unnecessary. And it wasn't even a blast. I suppose if you're going to get the flag thrown on you, want to blast the guy that caught the football.
Interference with the opportunity to catch the ball, 5-yard penalty.
It's the interference call, and so it'll be the 5-yard penalty as opposed to a solid hit.
From the 18 to the 23.
Now there's the call right there. That's the interference call. The contact call was incidental.
First and 10. Capital at their own 23-yard line. John Keel with Dunkel in motion and getting the ball and getting over the 25 up to the 29-yard line. Flag on the play.
Nice stop by Fellinger on the play as Dunkel was able to cut it upfield.
A holding call on Capital. 4:54 to play third quarter. 12-10 Mount Union leads. The way things have been going in the third quarter for these two teams this year, the fact that the two teams have played relatively even in the period is kind of a moral victory for the Purple Raiders because they have had a terrible time in the third quarter, and as Harry told you, they have seen Capital play very good ball in the third quarter. We'll be back after this timeout.
I think I chose Mount Union because it's a small private college, and I like the family-type atmosphere that Mount Union promotes. It's easy to get involved, and the professors, when I met them, or the ones that I didn't meet, they seem to genuinely care, and I think that's the kind of attention that I need.
Our tradition of personalized higher education thrives in an environment of varied experiences, with more opportunities for learning, enrichment, and enjoyment than you can imagine.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank.
Exciting. Hot. funny. But I've gotten rid of that roll between the navel and the groin. Revealing. Star-studded. This is the Ebony Jet Showcase, the most widely watched black entertainment and information program of its kind.
Catch the stars Sunday night at 1 here on WBNX.
Lifestyles warmly invites you to be our guest at the Elegant Society Weddings of the Year. Each is a meticulously planned multi-million-dollar extravaganza. You can't put a price on happiness. Then, Scott Baio docks at the world's most exclusive tropical island resort, the garage of India's last Maharaja, and LA Law's Susan Rattan, life in the fast lane. It's a gilt-edged invitation. You can't afford to miss it.
Catch the stars Sunday at 5.
Well, the Capital Crusaders were penalized for holding, and while we were away, the quarterback Keel going along the left side, and we'll watch it, trying to do some more stuff on his own here. Picks up some yardage, but a flag was thrown, and it is going to be
first down,
flipping against the Crusaders, knocking them even further back.
Ball back to the 9-yard line. That leaves it at first down and half the distance to my house.
They are heading in that direction, aren't they?
First and 23, to be precise. John Keel. Good, solid performer for Capital. He goes back, and he's going to let her fly. Intercepted by Garn at the 33, the 30, the 25, the 20, the 15, and out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Could not have come at a better time, but hold everything. There's a piece of yellow laundry on the field up at the 19-yard line.
I have to believe that that occurred. I didn't see it drop, but it must have been on the return. Illegal block against the Purple Raiders, but it was on the return, so the interception will hold. Well, Garn playing center field here. As the ball is overthrown, he is right there to pick it off. Makes a fine return, but we'll see an illegal block somewhere along the line.
Illegal block below the waist during the return. First down.
And it negates much of the return by Garn, but still sets up shop for the Purple Raiders.
Well, there's Garn with a catch, and I think we're going to see this now very shortly on the return. A Crusader is nailed. It's blocked below the waist. You just saw it going by your picture. That puts the ball to the 34-yard line, but the Purple Raiders have it back first down and 10 yards to go with 4:11 to play in the third quarter. Johnson in the slot to the right. Frost in motion to the left. And Robarczyk gives to Paul, and Paul goes just about 1 inch. And maybe not even that. Second down. 12-10, the Mount Union Purple Raiders with the lead here in the latter stages of the third quarter. Roger Welsh and the gang from Columbus, Ohio, Capital, watching. 21st renewal of this rivalry. Capital has the edge in the series, 12 games to 8. Robarczyk straight back. He threw it right into the outstretched and upraised arms of Bob Toy. Third down, 10 yards to go.
Well, Purple Raiders wanting to get something out of this fifth turnover by the Crusaders in the game. Robarczyk, as Joe mentioned, threw it into the outstretched hands of a Crusader defender.
Great field presence by Bob Toy because he was fighting his offensive counterpart but keeping his eye on Robarczyk, and when the pass came his way, he knocked it down. Robarczyk again wants to throw and is going to have to eat the ball back at the 41-yard line. That'll make it fourth down. 18 yards to go.
Well, Robarczyk appeared to have time initially, but all his receivers were covered downfield. Then had a notion about running it, but the Crusaders had other ideas.
Number 88, Greg Sharp, 6'1", 196 from Beloit West Branch, will punt. Desjarnais waiting. The punt to Desjarnais, and he signals fair catch, lets the ball go, and it's picked off on the bounce and downed by Terry Friel. And that will put the ball on the 11-yard line. Capital in possession. First down and 10 yards to go with 2 minutes and 44 seconds to play in the third quarter. But as we've already seen in this game, the Capital Crusaders, when the offense works well, can eat up a lot of real estate and take a lot of time doing it, as evidenced by that drive late in the second quarter when they went 20 plays, 80 yards, and used 8 minutes and 45 seconds to do it. Dunkel, the man in motion, and gets the ball and goes to the 19-yard line. That'll be good for a pickup of 8.
Nice stop by Milburn, but Dunkel getting into the secondary on a nice run as you watch again.
Ball at the 19-yard line. Second down, 2 yards to go. Clock ticks down to 2 minutes and 15 seconds in the third quarter. Keel decides to keep it himself, and he is taken down shy of the 20-yard line.
And Dave Crawford, again, in pursuit, makes a fine play.
Keel spread the field that time, but the Mount Union Purple Raiders stayed at home defensively, stayed with their assignments, and ran the play to the sideline, and a good stop by Crawford.
Crawford comes halfway across the field to make this play. Keel looking for receivers, but nothing doing. Fights off a block, and there you see Crawford.
Caught wide to the right. And the handoff is to Dunkel. He makes the 20 and perhaps the 21, but I believe he will be shy of the first down, perhaps by less than a yard.
Dunkel not too pleased with the placement of the football there.
So the punting unit will come on. Punting for the Capital Crusaders, number 50, Mike Watt from Fort Clinton, Ohio. Watt had a 61-yard punt in the second quarter, and he's got another one with the breeze that Garn will corral at the 26, 30, and is caught and wrestled down at the 32-yard line. And the man who had a firm grasp of his jersey was Mark Hamilton.
So Watt with another beauty of a punt. Could have been a lot worse for Capital as the Purple Raiders find themselves on their own 33.
Well, that was a 54-yarder. His first one was 61.
Yeah, despite the fact that the wind is blowing a gale, it'll still look pretty good when the stats come out next week.
Sharp, very wide right. Hosea wide left. Johnson in motion for the Purple Raiders. Keith Rabarczyk. Hands off, and on the delay, pounding ahead is Paul. Dean Paul takes it over the 35. They'll put it back right on the 35-yard line, and with a half minute to play in the third quarter, Mount Union in possession. Second down, 8 yards to go. 12-10, Mount Union leads.
Capital's Mike Kaufeld stopped that one from being a winner for Mount Union and on the stop. Well, that Crusader defense is big. They plug those holes in a hurry, too.
Sam Clemente, wide left. Hosea, wide right. The whistles blow. May have been too much time. It is.
And that's the back judge's job to watch the clock.
That's
where the flag is.
Dead ball, delay of game, awesome.
Back judge today, Louis Serretta. Steve Perchanik is the referee. Randy Morgan, the umpire. The head linesman is Ed Markowski, and the line judge is Roy Johnson. The ball on the 30. Sharp comes in for Johnson. In the Mount Union offensive scheme of things, there is exactly 1 second left in the third period. Hosier wide left. San Clemente wide right. And that time, the illegal procedure will cost the Raiders another 5 yards.
Well, that 1 second here in the third quarter just won't
Dead
go
ball.
away, will it?
False start offense. Still second down.
Now it's second down and 17 yards to go.
And there you see lifting up right there that draws the yellow flags.
They slot Sharp to the left side. He goes in motion. And Rabarsik gives to Frost. And Frost, coming off the right side, runs wide at the 30 and manages to get back to the original line of scrimmage as the third quarter runs out. 12-10, Mount Union leads at the end of 3 periods of play here at Mount Union College on Hall of Fame Day, and we'll be back after this timeout.
Since 1846, Mount Union College has provided higher education on its northeastern Ohio campus. Through sound planning, the support of alumni and other friends, and careful management, the college has maintained a modern physical plant, strong library and media resources, and an array of technical and scientific equipment. And all of this in a debt-free environment with strong endowment support and a budget in balance for more than 3 decades.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank.
Get ready for more adventures of a lifetime on the next Runaway. Up and away with a sizzling Playmate of the Year in Acapulco, Mexico's jet-set playground. You'll love L.A., the cool person's guide to being hot, hot, hot in the City of Angels. Plus, Joe Isuzu, television's most famous liar, hits Lisbon, and that's the truth. It's your ticket to ride on the next globe-hopping Runaway. Don't miss it!
Catch the Stars, Sunday at 4:30. Alexander Mundy is a government thief.
Now, Nick, let's face it, I'm the best. There is none better. I could steal the Empire State Building.
Maybe so, but even honest crime has its drawbacks.
If you're a good boy, you might steal the yacht. That's cheery.
Witness the perils of purloining, the rewards of romancing.
Let's not get so emotional.
You're very nice.
Oh, you just can't trust anybody these days.
Robert Wagner stars in It Takes a Thief, Sundays at 7 on TV 55.
Well, that's a lot closer.
We're back at Mount Union Stadium, where after 3 quarters of play, Mount Union leads Capital 12-10, but the Purple Raiders haven't scored a touchdown since that first period of play, and they were held scoreless here in the third quarter. Capital, meanwhile, has posted 7 in the second quarter, 3 in the third to close the gap, and if you would have told me we'd have been this close at the beginning of this game here in the fourth quarter, I would have really questioned whether that would have been the case, but the Crusaders have bounced back and have given the Purple Raiders all they want in this one, and more.
So a momentary delay while they restructure the chains across the way. Hall of Fame Day. We had a chance to visit with Dr. Chick Campbell at halftime, the inductee into the Mount Union Hall of Fame. You got a look at the Mount Union band, resplendent in their new uniforms today. Mount Union trying to cap off a delightful afternoon with a victory. Capital, as everyone who follows OAC basketball realizes, is not going to make it an easy proposition. The next Mount Union home game, October 22nd. Muskingum will be in town at 1:30. Then on November the 5th, Wittenberg will be here, and November the 12th, Otterbein will play at Mount Union College.
Mount Union has a home winning streak in the Ohio Athletic Conference of 12 games, and it's on the line here. And
that's our spy in the sky.
There we go.
Or as close to it as you're going to get on a Saturday afternoon in Alliance, Ohio. Rabarsik turns in the backfield, looking for Hoja. What a catch! 35, 30, 25, 20, knocked down to the 10-yard line by Bob Kaikas. Boy, there's the combination that worked so well before Hoja came up with a bad back. Ed Hosier, number 18, 5'10", 163, a senior from Painesville, Riverside. And this one is right on the money, Harry.
Oh, what a great play. Everything worked to perfection here. It's a perfect spiral right into his hands. And if not for the angle of Crusader defender here, it's a six-pointer.
Hosier coming out wide to the left. Johnson goes wide right on the sideline. Paulman crossed the setbacks behind Rabarsic. Paul gets the ball and fights his way, literally fights his way down to about the 7-yard line. Mount Union has found it tough going inside, and here comes the Thundering Herd into the ball game again. Number 91, Vincent Masalaro, and number 92, Jim Congrove. You add them up, and you have my weight. They are big fellows. Rabarsic, second and 7. The pitch to Paul. Angles the 5. Dives to the corner. And out of bounds within an eyelash of the goal line. These officials today have struck out the calipers when it's come time to call things at the goal line.
Well, he did hit the orange marker, but evidently his left shoulder must have hit the turf first. And Paul does everything he can to get into the end zone here, but doesn't quite make it.
That's about as close as you can come and not make it, I'll guarantee you. Sean Kelly was the man who applied the defensive pressure. Third down and a hiccup. Rabarsic. 3-man backfield.
And who jumped first? I have a feeling Mount Union may have. And that's a costly penalty if they did.
Yep. Ball start.
Dead ball. Ball start. Offense. Still at third down.
Well, the ball back now. Rather than resting on the dust of the goal line, it is resting on the edge of the 5-yard line.
You know, that's going to be an interesting situation depending on what happens here, because from our vantage point, it appeared as though Paul may have had the touchdown.
And, of course, if you really want to get partisan about the whole thing, it didn't look at the other end of the second quarter like Keel might have had it on his initial effort, but that's the name of the game. Here goes Rabarsic, following Frost. He fakes the flip and is knocked down at the 2-yard line. He was belted down by Charles Gibson, junior defensive back from Columbus, Marion Franklin.
Down close, you see Rabarsic running the option and deciding to take it himself.
Actually, the big hit on that play and the replay came from Todd Smith. Edelman will try to put 3 on the board, and he did it. So Edelman drives his 3rd field goal of the afternoon through the uprights, and with 13:04 to play in the ball game, it is Mount Union 15 and Capital 10. Harry?
Well, kind of an odd score, but the Purple Raiders have been able to convert on 3 field goals and missed an extra point to give them that 15-10 lead. And the Purple Raiders on a fine effort there, just missing the touchdown, having to settle for 3, and that's been the story of the game, really, since the first quarter, when the Purple Raiders scored their only touchdown.
Desjardins drops back deep, number 21 for Capital, and his running mate back there is number 31, Jeff Armstrong, a sophomore from Sutterberg. Edelman, who has kicked 3 field goals here this afternoon. There are the deep backs for Capital. 15-10 in favor of Mount Union, with 13:04 to play in the ball game.
15 was the magic number against Allegheny, was it not?
It was 15-7. It was a 19-yard field goal for Edelman, his shortest of the afternoon. Desjardins at the 1-yard line, right up the middle. 15 and 20 and down to the 25-yard line. Capital takes over, first down and 10 yards to go at their own 25-yard line. Harry?
Well, the Crusaders at the end of the first half of play marched the ball 80 yards in 20 plays. It's that kind of performance that Roger Welch would be looking for from his Crusaders at this point, as Capital down 5 points.
Scoring drive, 7 plays, 65 yards in 2 minutes, 39 seconds. The pass to Hosea, the big play in the drive. Keel, back, flips to Birchie, hit behind the line and drilled by number 22, Ted Hanlon, the 6', 185 senior from Barnesville.
Boy, Hanlon made a great play, but the Purple Raiders had this one sniffed out from the very start. Keel, it's as though Keel didn't even see the purple jerseys in front and behind as he was able to complete the pass, but Hamlin was there to destroy the play.
Desjardins to the sideline. Second down. 16 to go. Birchie in motion. The give to Dunkel, and he is upended at the 21-yard line. That'll put it at third down. Leave about 14 on the board for the Capital Crusaders to pick up with 12 minutes to play in this ball game. 15 to 10, Mount Union leads. We're in Alliance, Ohio. Pop comes back in. He'll be flanked out wide to the right. Desjardins comes to the sideline on the left. Dunkel in the slot to the left. Birchie to the right, leaving only fullback Doug Jones behind quarterback Keel. And Keel goes straight back and lets her rip for Fott. He got it. Down at the 35-yard line, Russ Garn, the last man between Fott and the end zone, made the tackle. And so now both ball clubs have come up with big pass plays.
And that was a big one. Fott was wide open, and we got an example of Keel's arm here as he lofts the ball a mile. And Fott just had to wait and wait and wait for it to come down because he was that wide open.
Desjardins wide to the right. Dunkel and Jones remain in setback behind the quarterback. The give is to the man in motion, Birchie, and he is knocked down at the 34. Gain of no more than a yard. Down there at the bottom was Dave Crawford.
Birchie looking for the hole, and there's nothing there.
Second down, 9 yards to go. Fought out wide to the right. John Keel quarterbacking for the Capital Crusaders. Goes back, rolls right, looking for Fout, and finds him down at the 18-yard line. All of a sudden, this is a new, interesting, and very effective aspect of the Capital offense. The combination of John Keel, the number 11, Kent Fout, the 6'3", 185, a senior from Mingo Triad.
Well, Fout has been on the receiving end now of 4 passes from Keel, and as Joe mentioned, he's become a favorite receiver. That's a fine pass, and Fout finding himself open.
At the 18-yard line, first and 10. Desjardins is wide left, and they put Birchie in motion, and Keel rolls the same way. Fires to the end zone to Desjardins, and I want to tell you, a saving defensive play by number 15, Chuck Rita. 5'11", 180, the junior from St. Thomas Aquinas.
Well, Rita did make a great play. It went just off his fingertips and was enough to deflect the pass. Keel again, rolling left, throwing right, has his man. And Rita able to knock it away.
There he is. Second down, 10 at the 18. Looks like the same play. He's looking for Desjardins, who's covered, and then Keel runs out of bounds at the 16-yard line. Keel now 8 of 17 for 109 yards.
Well, Purple Raiders did a great job of stringing this one out. Keel wanted to go inside, saw things clogged up there, but then had no other choice than to run out of bounds.
Crawford was the key man defensively who just refused to be moved out of the way.
Crawford's had a great game. We've mentioned his name a number of times here this afternoon.
3rd and 8. Fault wide to the right. Keel spins and throws out to Birchie, and Birchie is going to be pushed out of bounds in the neighborhood of the 10-yard line. Clock stops with 9 minutes and 42 seconds to play in the game.
Well, Keel spinning and then finding Birchie open. Looked like it was going to go for more, but the Purple Raiders recovered in time.
They're going to go for it. 4th down and 2 yards to go at the 11-yard line. Desjardins wide to the left. Here comes Keel. That's the 15, that's the 10, and that's a 1st down at the 5-yard line.
Well, it was a gutsy call to go for it in that situation, but Keel made the best of it.
John Keel has given us a little bit of everything today, Harry.
He has. And that time surging ahead for the 1st down, but had some nice blocking ahead of him.
1st and goal at the 5-yard line. Single setback behind Keel, and that's the fullback, Doug Jones. Dunkel in motion. Keel looking for Fought, decides to go to Dunkel, who was running with the ball before he caught it. 9:04 left, 2nd down, 5 yards to go for the touchdown.
Well, Keel again rolling this time to his right. Thinks he has a man, actually does have a man, but again, the pass just simply dropped.
Desjardins replaces Fought in the lineup for Capital. Wide receiver. He's wide left on the sideline. Birchie in motion. Keel keeps. Pitch back to Dunkel behind him. The ball is loose, and Mount Union has recovered. The 5th fumble recovered by Mount Union today, and this one really hurts the Crusaders.
None has been more costly than that one was. And on the bottom of the pile, I believe, was Stausen for Mount Union. You see the pitch, it's behind him again. Keel's had trouble with that all afternoon. And you'll see another angle. The pitch way behind Dunkel.
So it's Mount Union back on the attack, and Paul manages to get up to the 10-yard line. 2nd down, 8 yards to go. Now it's Mount Union's opportunity to eat up some vital ticks of that clock. 8:39 to play in the game.
The Crusaders have identified the enemy, and the enemy is themselves.
They have fumbled here this afternoon, no less. Well, here is a pitch out, drop at the 10-yard line by Hoja, as Robarczyk has to extricate himself from the side after that hit.
Now good pressure on Robarczyk. He did well to get rid of it here. And the Crusaders, Todd Smith coming in to make that play.
Todd Smith is 6 feet even, 210 from Columbus, St. Charles, the senior. Johnson wide right, Hoja wide left, and Robarczyk looking for Hoja, and he got it at the 40-yard line. Ed Hoja has turned in 2 catches here in the second half that have been absolutely outstanding. This one takes the ball out to the 38-yard line. It's a 28-yard pass play.
Well, he's a money receiver, and you know Robarsik's going to look for him when he can. This time, a perfect pass and a perfect catch. Robarsik to Hoja, and how often that has teamed up to be a game saver.
Hoja now wide to the right, but the give is to Paul. Then he bangs his way up to the 45-yard line. Defensively, John Justice from Columbus Franklin Heights, a senior, tripped up the ball carrier. Ball at the 45. Second down, 4 yards to go. And the clock ticks down to 7 minutes and 48 seconds to play. Robarsik again, the handoff to Frost, and Frost gets across the 45 to the 46. That'll put it at third down and 2 yards to go. And the tackle made by big number 74, Mike Caulfield, a senior out of Hayes Valley.
Now this first down here, very important because the clock is beginning to become a factor. Certainly the Purple Raiders want to put another score on the board, but the important thing is to possess the ball. And the Raiders, realizing the importance of this particular play, call timeout.
We'll be back for the final 7:07 of this game right after we take this timeout.
Social and cultural life are vital parts of your undergraduate experience. International students representing 20 different countries around the world add to the cultural enrichment of your Mount Union experience. In addition, the college provides opportunities to its students for study in a foreign country for a semester of their college education. The International Study Option Scholarship currently has Mount Union students studying in Spain, England, France, Germany, and Japan.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank.
TV 55 presents Robert Stack as FBI agent Elliot Ness.
I'm going to nail Moran's first. I'm going to nail him right to the wall.
Emmy award-winning drama with The Untouchables, weeknights at 7 on WBNX. Monday at 8 on the TV 55 primetime movie, Rock Hudson and Susan St. James are Macmillan and wife.
I'm really crazy about you.
Well, they could have heard that. Your chauffeur, John Patterson. He's an ex-con. I don't think it's wise for him to be driving your wife around.
TV 55's pilot movie week begins with Once Upon a Dead Man.
Back to passes, Robarsik to Frost, and he's not going to make it. So the play selection was a pass to Frost on the sideline, and the Crusaders were waiting for him. Knocking him down, Aaron Roth and John Justice.
Well, the play could have gone either way. Robarsik deciding to throw to Frost left side, but Frost was well covered after he caught the football, and the Purple Raiders have to punt it away.
Sharp will be punting from the neighborhood of his own 30-yard line, and he does get it away with the win back to Desjardins at the 15, at the 20, at the 25 and down. So it's first down, 10 yards to go for the Capital Crusaders with 6 minutes and 47 seconds to play in the game. 15-10 Mount Union leads.
Well, Mount Union's defense called upon once again to try to stop the Crusaders. Capital showed early that they're capable of marching the length of the field. Keel being a large part of that offense because he can do so many things. And so let's see if the Purple Raiders have another defensive stand left in them.
And his lately found favorite receiver, Fout, out wide and gets another one and drops it. Again, Fout was open, but dropped the ball as it arrived at the 35-yard line. That'll make it 2nd and 10.
That makes it easy on the defense with things like that happening.
This is Ed Hoja's 9th career 100-yard game in pass receptions.
And you start to understand why maybe things didn't go so well for the Purple Raiders last week against Heidelberg with Hoja out.
Fought again, wide to the left. Desjardins wide to the right. Heel with a long count. Fakes to Jones on the end around to Desjardins, and he's his own worst enemy. He slipped and fell at the 19-yard line, just shy of the 20, and that makes it a big third down and 15 yards to go.
But you know what? Dave Crawford was a factor once again in this play because Desjardins saw him, decided to cut, and couldn't do so. But it was Crawford who caused the problems.
Not the first time that Big Man Crawford has caused problems for Capital today. 3rd and 15. Dunkel in motion. And Keel straight back, firing for Fought, and the ball is tipped. Had it not been tipped, there might well have been 6 more on the board for Mount Union because number 20, Ed Bahoff, had that one in his sights.
Yeah, Bahoff had a notion here. Keel had plenty of time. Good job by the offensive line giving him that time, but he overthrows the ball.
It was Birchie who put a hand on it and kept the interception from occurring as Watts' punt carries back to the 44-yard line. Garn with it there, dances over the 50, 45, and 40. Down the sidelines at the 30, 25. Lost the ball, but it's into Mount Union grass at the 22-yard line. And you can credit big old number 97, Dave Crawford, for another big play. So he has not only made some big plays defensively, that time he was at the right spot at the right time, and Dave Crawford recovered the fumble. It's at the 23-yard line, 1st and 10.
Well, Garn's exciting, but this is the second time he's fumbled on the punt return. He certainly gets long yardage out of him, but he has the ball stripped there, and it was Watt who made the punter who actually made the play. And fortunately for the Purple Raiders, Crawford was there.
1st and 10, the turn to give to Paul. He manages to bang his way down to the 18-yard line. Down to 5 minutes and 30 seconds to play in the ball game. Well, you look at this ball game, Harry, and of course the headline feature are the 5 fumbles lost by Capital, but the unsung heroes of the day, the Mount Union defense.
Very true, and they needed a good game because they were coming off 2 tough ones.
Sharp wide right, Hoja wide left, Robarsik back. Robarsik throws on the run, the diving try by Hoja, skipped into him, incomplete pass. 3rd down, 6 yards to go. Clock stops, 4:57 to play of the ball game. 15-10 in favor of Mount Union.
Well, you can see why the Crusader defense is ranked right up there in the Ohio Athletic Conference. Purple Raiders have been knocking on the door through the entire game, but the Crusaders have yielded just 1 touchdown and 3 field goals. And right here, it's imperative as far as the Crusaders are concerned to keep the Purple Raiders out of the end zone.
The man who caught the first touchdown of the day, San Clemente, is in motion. And Robarsik is looking for him, also for Hoja down the middle, fires it right through the end zone, incomplete. 4th and 6, and Edelman will be on to attempt his 4th field goal of the afternoon. 4:51 left in the game. Robarsik will hold at the 25-yard line, so another 35-yarder. Edelman has kicked 37, 25, and 19. Up and good. With 4:47 to play in the game, it is 18 for Mount Union and 10 for Capital, and we'll be back.
I'm the Cisco Kid.
The Cisco Kid and his buddy Pancho. Some call them heroes, others call them hysterical.
Hey, híjole, tiene poblano if you bite me. You're taking an awful big chance, Cisco. Sheriff, we've got this.
It's Western crime fighting at its comical worst. Weekdays at 5:30 with the Cisco Kid here on WBNX TV 55.
Tuesday at 8 on the TV 55 primetime movie, Clarence makes one of the most interesting television debuts.
Well, let's go see if we can find ourselves a lion that behaves like a lamb.
Hey, he's cross-eyed.
Yeah. TV 55's pilot movie week continues with Marshall Thompson as the famous Doctari and Clarence the Cross-Eyed Lion.
Weeknights on Gunsmoke, Festus Hagen just has a way with words.
Well, I'm in serious trouble. A whole heap seriouser than you've ever saw or heard tell of. Here I am, a fugitive from justice, and you did it. What I got to say is just kind of a scratchy, tickledy feeling right here in my goosler.
You never know what's coming next on Gunsmoke, weeknights at 6 on WBNX.
Ken Edelman has connected on his fourth field goal of the game to give the Purple Raiders an 18-10 lead now over the Crusaders. Of course, it's not over yet. Touchdown and two-point conversion would give the Crusaders a tie, but Purple Raiders coming back strong here in this fourth quarter, Joe.
In the first game of the year here, Ken Edelman set a Mount Union record for the longest field goal in school history. He has now tied the Mount record for the most field goals in a game, 4 set by Doug Boyle against Wittenberg in 1984. 18-10, the Purple Raiders leading, and Edelman will kick it off from the 35. Armstrong and Desjardins deep, and it's Desjardins at the 1-yard line to the 5, to the 10, to the 15, following Armstrong, and is he level? My, oh my, a very serious hit by number 93, Skip Dowd, a sophomore linebacker from North Canton Hoover. And that's what Desjardins said when he was hit, was Hoover, because he was lucky to hang on to the ball.
This is a great hit here by Dowd. Desjardins thinks he's got somewhere to go, but out of nowhere comes Dowd to bring him down.
With a matter of 4:36 left, Dunkel with the football. He manages to get up over the 20 to the 23. Desjardins comes in for Fott with 4:20 and counting in the final period. John Keel, fine quarterback from Capital, 5'9", 170, the senior from West Jefferson, gives the ball to Birchie, tripped up and knocked down. And the play administered by Tom Beard, 5'11", 227, a junior from Cleveland Heights.
Boy, Beard did a great job of penetrating that time. Birchie looked like he had some running room, but a nice arm tackle by Beard.
Fought back into the ball game. 3:45 to go. The ball is at the Capital 24-yard line. Keel with Fott and Desjardins wide, right and left, goes back looking for Desjardins, who's running the pattern inside and makes the catch at the 32, 33-yard line. Belted down by Rob Dine, and also in there for the Mount Union Purple Raiders, Ted Hanlon.
That's enough to keep the drive alive. Just a simple post pattern by Desjardins running across the middle. And a nice throw by Keel.
3:18 and counting. Keel back. Manages to roll up to the 35-yard line. Now the Capital Crusaders find themselves in a situation, Harry, where they just do not have the time for one of those extended, drained-them-out drives. They've got to get a lot of yards in a hurry. They call time. The clock is stopped with 2 minutes and 59 seconds to play in the ball game. 18-10, Mount Union leads.
And you know, they realize that this has to be the drive because they decided to take that timeout after the run. And now they're going to set up a number of plays, I'm sure, during this timeout to assure that They can run off some plays and also not run off a whole lot of time. You know, we haven't mentioned the fact, Joe, that in the last several years, Mount Union has been on TV on a tape delay basis 4 times. You've done 3 of those games, and they have yet to lose on the tube.
Well, you've done it now, Harry.
I'm counting on this one.
Well, if it doesn't turn out that way, we're throwing you out of this booth at the end of the game. 2:59 to play. Second down, 9 yards to go for Capital. Ken Edelman has really been the story of this game. 4 field goals to tie a Mount Union record. Keel straight back to pass. Cranks it up, couldn't find anybody open, and he's got some company. Crawford just about to get there. He unloaded to Desjardins, was knocked out of bounds up at midfield by Chuck Milburn and by number 20, Ed Baugh.
Now, Chuck Milburn makes a fine play, and what makes this play, however, is the pressure on Keel. I should add that Chuck Milburn was employed during the summer at First American Savings Bank, who's bringing you this contest.
Right through the hands of a leaping Desjardins at the 46-yard line, and that brings it down to 4th down and 9 yards to go. Desjardins has certainly been a very busy Crusader this afternoon. He is 5'9", 162. He's a freshman. We'll be looking at him again before his OAC career is over. Played at Columbus Briggs. Well, Watts back in punt formation.
Capital has a fake punt in their repertoire, but they decided to boot this one away.
Bouncing over the 35 and going to roll to the 30-yard line. Down by the Crusaders at the 30. And now Mount Union has 2 minutes and 33 seconds with the ball between themselves and victory here at Alliance, Ohio.
The reason I know about that fake punt, Joe, is because last time Capital came here in that 45-6 massacre, their best play was the fake punt. They tried to do it 3 times, and that's really unusual, the fact that you've got a fake punt once in a game, but they tried it 3 times in an attempt to surprise the Purple Raiders, but that was a year that was not to be as far as Capital is concerned.
Hosier wide right, Johnson wide left. Rabarczyk decides to air it out for Hoja, and back deep defensively with Hoja. Number 28, Sean Kelly, he turned and fell down. He was trying to sight up an interception, but he fell down and the ball fell incomplete to stop the clock with 2:27 to play.
Well, the element of surprise is attempted here. Hoja going deep, but ball overthrown by Rabarczyk. Crusaders, of course, anticipating a run by the Purple Raiders. They tried to surprise them, and it just did not work.
2nd and 10. Rabarczyk is 7 for 20 this afternoon, good for 121 yards. And that time, he is dumped all the way back at the 24-yard line.
Great play by Todd Smith. And Rabarczyk was fortunate to be able to tuck that ball away and not have it fall out of his hands.
Timeout called by the Capital Crusaders, stopping the clock with 2 minutes and 11 seconds to play. And it's 3rd and 15 for Mount Union at their own 25-yard line.
One thing to keep in mind is that the wind is with Mount Union. So if it does come down to a punt, they should be able to get a good one off. Crusaders have come close on a couple of occasions of trying to get to the punter. Have not been successful in doing so. Greg Sharp has been able to boom a couple, especially when he has gone from south to north.
Well, they tell us that Paul has carried 18 times for 56 yards. Frost 11 times for 40 yards. Mount Union has 10 first downs, and on 3rd down situations, they are 5 for 14 this afternoon. Hosier wide right, Johnson wide left. Keith Rabarczyk turns, gives the ball to Paul, and Paul manages to pick up enough yards to take him to the 28th. He did not get back to even the original line of scrimmage, so at 4th and 12, it'll be a punt situation for Mount Union, and Capital will indeed get one more whack at the ball.
And Capital calling that timeout, I believe that is it. That is their allotment of timeouts. So when they get the ball, they will be working and not capable of stopping the clock with a timeout.
Keith Rabarczyk, a 5'10", 177-pound senior from Overland, Ohio, played his high school ball at Elyria Catholic. Has come up with a good, solid afternoon. 2:05 to go. 18-10, Mount Union leads. Hall of Fame Day. And the Raiders come home on the 22nd against Muskingum. It'll be homecoming. Sun beaming down here at Mount Union College Football Stadium. Sharp will be punting. 6'1", 196 from Beloit West Branch. And he'll be kicking with a very strong wind. He had to flag that one down. It's a good thing he's 6'1". His hurried punt goes to Desjarnais, who makes the fair catch at the 27-yard line. So 1 minute and 57 seconds to play. They spot the ball at the 28, and the Capital Crusaders slip one more bullet into the gun.
Well, the Mount Union defense called upon one more time to try to stop the Crusaders. This has been a great ball game.
A 42-yard punt by Sharp. Keel fires for Desjarnais, and a very good defensive play. The timing on this defensive play with both Milburn and Fellinger is the fact that the reach around had to come at the precise moment the ball got there. And it did. Keel chased, throws, complete to Desjarnais, and he steps out of bounds at the 34-yard line. 1:45 to play. 3rd and 4. Maybe 5 now as they spot it just shy of the 35. Making the 34-yard line. 3rd and 5. Keel back, looks for Desjarnais and fired it, and we have a penalty flag dropped at the 43-yard line.
They threw it in a crowd, but evidently there was some pushing and shoving going on.
Pass interference called.
Interference on the defense. First down.
First down, 10 yards to go for Mount Union. First down by penalty this afternoon, and it comes at a most inopportune time for the Purple Raiders. So the ball at the 43. 1st and 10.
Crusaders thus far are doing a good job of moving the football without using a lot of clock.
Spot wide to the left. Desjarnais to the right, and Keel rolls to the left side, and he's going to look for Fott. It is caught. Caught down at the 15-yard line. Ned Bahoff was there, but Fott watched it all the way and made an outstanding catch with 1 minute and 32 seconds to play.
Now there's plenty of time for Capital, and it's going to be Mount Union calling for the timeout. Here's Keel rolling to the left again. He's got Fott way downfield, who is behind the secondary. The ball is lofted. Looks like it's going to be deflected by Bahoff, but Fott keeps his concentration, gets a foot down inbounds, and makes a great reception.
Bahoff kept his eyes on Fott all the way until I think he probably saw in Fout's eyes the ball was arriving. He turned and took a wave at it, but it was by him and into the grass for Fott on the sideline, and Capital has come up with an outstanding play with the clock down to 1 minute and 32 seconds to play.
Well, the Crusaders keep things going, and that's the way it's been this entire game. You have to give them a lot of credit.
The defending OAC champions. They lost all but 9 of last year's starters offensively and defensively combined, but they got a good ball club. Fott wide right, Desjarnais wide left. Keel now 12 of 27 for 167 yards passing. Dunkel in motion. Keel looking for Desjarnais, threw it behind him. Capital wanted pass interference, but the pass was thrown behind Desjardins, and then the contact occurred. So Kiel is 12 of 27 in passing.
Well, again, Kiel on the slant. Desjardins comes in to your picture there late, but the ball was behind him.
Kiel again. Flips the ball out to Birchie, and Birchie is wrestled down at the 12-yard line, and they kept him in bounds. 1 minute and 17 seconds to play. Third down. 7 yards to go. Kiel again. This one a diving catch by Faut down at the 7 or 8 yard line. It'll be shy of the first down. It does stop the clock with 1:01 to go. It'll be 4th down and 2 yards to go for Capital.
Here we go again.
They're at the Mount Union 7-yard line. Faut wide right. Desjardins wide left. Kiel with Birchie in motion. Looking for Faut. Knocked away. Incomplete. The defensive play of the afternoon by Tim Hawk. 6'2", 186. A sophomore from Atwater, Waterloo. First down. 10 yards to go for Mount Union.
Tim Hawk has to feel good about this one. Kiel looking for his man, cutting across, but Hawk never lets the ball get very far and bats it down. Great defensive stand by the Purple Raiders.
Less than a minute to play. Mount Union with the ball at their own 7-yard line.
And defensive coordinator Don Montgomery has to feel good about this one.
Sharp standing in the end zone, but Robarski is going to fall on the ball because keep in mind, Capital is out of timeouts, so the clock will just tick along its merry way, and there's not a darn thing the Crusaders can do about it. So just officially 2nd down, 11. 40 seconds to play. One more touch of the knee to the turf, and this one is history.
You know, watching the action down at this end of the end zone really reminds you of a couple of years ago with that Baldwin-Wallace Mount Union game where so many plays were so crucial in that area that we're watching right now. And once again, the defense has done the job when they've been called upon.
And the clock will tick out with a matter of 11, 10, 9 seconds. The Mount Union Purple Raiders have regrouped after 2 tough defeats to win a big one over the defending OAC champion Capital Crusaders. The final score, the Mount Union Purple Raiders 18, the Capital Crusaders 10. And we'll be back to wrap it up after this final timeout.
What does Mount Union seek to accomplish? Just this, an enriching undergraduate education for our students, which prepares them for a life of satisfaction for themselves and service to others. This is the tradition you discover at Mount Union College. And although commencement signals a change, it begins a lifetime of homecoming, where visions were formed and memories are kept.
The preceding announcement was brought to you by First American Savings Bank.
Wednesday at 8 on the TV 55 primetime movie, George Papard is the hard-nosed Banachek, and after the whereabouts of a missing Brinks truck.
On second thought, I wouldn't mind seeing you on this case, too. Might learn a little humility. You or me?
TV 55's Pilot Movie Week continues with Detour to Nowhere.
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty... The Lone Ranger and Tonto, protectors of law and order in an untamed West. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find greater guardians of freedom.
I'll wear this mask until justice has been dealt to the last murderer and outlaw.
Return with us to those thrilling days of yesteryear on The Lone Ranger.
Sunday mornings at 11:30 here on TV 55.
Back at Mount Union Stadium, where the Purple Raiders have defeated the Crusaders of Capital University by the score of 18-10. Ken Edelman with 4 field goals being the difference in this game, and you've got to give that young man a lot of credit and give the Purple Raider defense some credit. They held when they needed to, Joe. We knew that the team in purple was going to win this game coming in, and fortunately, as far as the Mount Union people are concerned, it was the Purple Raiders who prevailed.
Well, you've heard of Lou the Toe. We now have Ken Kicks Edelman, who is the star here this afternoon. But an outstanding afternoon for the Mount Union defense, and a game that they desperately needed. They even their record at 2-2, set the stage now to go on the road to Baldwin Wallace and Ohio Northern before coming home for homecoming on October the 22nd. And as always, Harry, a real pleasure to work with you again this afternoon, and with our statistician, Jeff Shreve. Just a delightful afternoon for OAC football at Mount Union, and I thank you for letting me be part of it.
Joe, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure having you here and doing the job as usual, a professional job, and we're really proud of the fact that you do Mount Union College Purple Raider football. And we also want to send along our thanks to First American Savings Bank, and they were responsible for sponsoring this game, and appreciate their help and concern for Mount Union College Purple Raider football. That about wraps it up for Mount Union Stadium. The final score, once again, Mount Union College 18, Capital University 10. And speaking for Joe Tait, Jeff Shreve, this is Harry Paidas saying so long, everybody.